Bam! Crash! What is this you brought home? A middle-aged man slammed his reddened fist on the table. A sheet of paper lay beneath it. Shards of a ceramic mug glittered on the floor. Across from him stood a 19-year-old Corey. He stared at the fragments. If you pieced them together, you'd see a name at the base. Corey. It had been his favorite mug. If I'd known, I would have moved it before coming in, he thought, throat tight. He couldn't meet his father's eyes, so he looked at the paper instead. Answer me, Corey. What kind of result is this? Corey lifted his gaze. Anger and disappointment burned in his father's eyes, and it hurt more than he expected. His own eyes were dull with exhaustion, sadness, and a quiet hopelessness that sat too deep to name. Are you just going to stand there? His father barked. Corey lowered his head. What was he supposed to say? That he didn't know what kept going wrong? That he'd tried, really tried, and still failed? That he'd pulled all-nighters, skipped parties, kept his head down for months, and none of it showed up on the page? There was no point. Not now. After a long, heavy silence, his father spoke again. I'm disappointed, Corey. But more than that, I'm worried. Third year, and your grades are below average. How will you find a good job like this? No company wants below average. Corey flinched. Rage would have hurt less. The worst part was that his father wasn't wrong. That truth was exactly why he'd worked so hard, and why the failure stung. He said nothing. His father pushed back his chair and walked away. At the doorway he paused. Pick up the pieces. He left. Corey watched his back until a soft voice pulled him back. Junior. His mother had been sitting beside the chair the whole time, quiet and tense. Worry lined her face. Junior. She hesitated, choosing the least cruel version of the truth. Maybe medicine isn't for you. Maybe you should try something else. Corey froze. She knew how much he wanted to be a doctor. She also knew the pattern of his results. Unless a miracle arrived, this path was closing. She sighed and rose when he didn't answer, leaving him with the echo of her words. Not meant for you. Not meant for you. Not meant for you. After a moment, his eyes watered. I know, he whispered. I realized it in my third year. But what am I supposed to do now? Starting over means more money. We're barely managing as it is. What do? I don't even know what's meant for me. He wiped his eyes, found a plastic bag, and knelt to gather the shards. When he'd swept the last splinter into the bin, he went to his room, a plain space with a bed, a small desk, and a lamp. No posters, no pictures, just his things. He opened a wardrobe and pulled out clean clothes. A knock sounded. Come in, he said. His 16-year-old sister, Anna, stepped in. She looked worried. Without turning around, Corey stripped off his t-shirt and shorts and tossed them in the laundry basket. What do you want, Anna? Are you going somewhere? Yes. He pulled on black shorts and a white long sleeve, then crouched by the wardrobe. Where? Her worry sharpened. You're not running away, are you? Please don't. He sat on the bed to lace his sneakers. I'm not running away. Then where are you going? To the temple. Anna blinked. I thought you didn't believe in God. Corey stood and finally met her eyes. They looked empty. At this point, I need something to believe in, he said, brushing past her to the door. Even if serving God is what I'm meant for, I'll take it. O Lord, lead us from the unreal to the real, from darkness to light, from mortal to immortality. Grant us peace in the celestial realm. Grant us peace, not death on earth. May the flames be everlasting. Light 'em. Light 'em. All right, everyone, let's welcome our newest guest, Corey. Clap, clap, clap. Welcome, Corey. Welcome. Tell us a bit about yourself and what brought you here. If something's troubling you, share it. We'll help however we can. The speaker was a man in his 60s, warm smile, black trousers, and a black long-sleeve shirt. A chain hung at his neck, the pendant two black axes crossed. He was the Pope of the Temple of Flames, the same one who had just led the prayer. Corey glanced around the circle. 10 others were the same pendant and sat in simple chairs. He had come to pray alone. Instead, he had run into this group and the Pope. He tried to slip away, but the Pope gently invited him to stay. It turned out today was scriptural study day. Terrible timing. Corey sighed and faced the Pope. He searched for words that would let him bow out without being rude. Thank you for letting me sit in, Sir Pope. I'm not a member of the temple. I prefer some time alone with your God. I want to speak to him. The smile did not leave the Pope's face. It's good that you want to speak with our God, Ogun. But as Pope, I cannot see someone in pain and stay silent. Corey just wanted quiet. Was that so hard? Before he could answer, the Pope tilted his head. Let me guess. You're struggling with your studies. Corey stared. How did? Small problems like that are easy for our God to reveal, the Pope said, smile widening a little. Hope flickered in Corey's chest. Then please, can you give me a solution? Have you heard of the wisest man to ever live? The Pope asked. Corey frowned. He had never heard anyone claim to be that. No, sir. I once found some very old texts, the Pope said, leaning back. They spoke of a man who lived long before recorded history. I laughed when I first read them. They said his name was Solomon. King Solomon. The text called him the wisest and also the richest. So rich that silver was like stones in his kingdom. The Pope chuckled. They also claimed he had 700 wives and 300 concubines. Absurd, yes, but that is what the texts say. Corey tried not to picture the logistics. He failed, despite the wealth and the women. People praised his wisdom most, the Pope went on. Do you know how he got it? He was born with it. The Pope shook his head, still amused. No, he asked his God for it. Corey's brow tightened. Why tell me this? How does it help me? I won't press you for details, the Pope said gently. If you want to pray alone, I will not stop you. I only want to guide what you ask for. If those ancient texts hold any truth, and a man gained unmatched wisdom by asking a great God, then why can't you ask Lord Ogun for wisdom to pass your exams and steady your path? Corey hesitated. It sounded too simple. The Pope saw the doubt and smiled. There is no harm in trying. Kneel and ask Ogun for wisdom to succeed. Our Lord can do all things. Something like that is not beyond him. Corey bowed his head. Thank you for the advice, Pope. I'll do that. Do not forget the Lord's Prayer, the Pope said, rising. Corey nodded. May I be excused? I want to pray now. You may, the Pope said, still smiling. Inside Corey's room. O Lord, lead us from the unreal to the real, from darkness to light, from mortal to immortality. Grant us peace in the celestial realm. Grant us peace, not death on earth. May the flames be everlasting. Later, he finished the prayer and looked out the window. A full moon hung over the quiet street. A stray thought crossed his mind. What would happen if the sun and moon were destroyed? He shook it off, knelt, pressed his palms together, and spoke. My Lord Ogun, I need help. Please, I need your help. Help me. Tears touched his cheeks. He blinked, surprised, and wiped them. I'm crying, he said, a small, bitter laugh escaping. My Lord Ogun, please take my pain away. I'm tired. I work hard and get nothing. I try and I still fail. Please take my pain away. I am tired. People talk, and I hear nothing. My eyes are dull. My heart feels dead. Is there any point to living like this? I'm crying now. Please take my pain away. I am afraid of my future. I cannot see where it goes. What do? I do not know. I am afraid. Please take my pain away. My parents speak, and I do not hear. Sometimes I want to disappear. I need your help. Why do I feel empty inside? I'm tired of failing. He drew a shaky breath. Can I win once? Can I pass once? Ogun, take my pain away. Help me. Just help me. Silence filled the room. Then anger bubbled up. You know what? Forget exams. Forget the teachers. Forget the schools. Forget everything. I try so hard, and I keep failing. They say work hard, and you will reap the reward. All I have reaped is tears. What is the point of working so hard? The Pope said to ask for wisdom, but would you even give it? Why would you give it to me? I don't even believe in you. What I want is a world without schools. Do not give me wisdom. Take away the schools. Take away my pain. Please, just take my pain. Tears fell onto the blanket. The room went quiet. Corey's breathing slowed. Sleep took him. Beep, beep. Minutes later, a beeping tone sounded across the planet. A translucent screen appeared before every person on Earth, including the sleeping Corey. If you could be granted one wish, what would it be? Remaining time, 2 hours, 59 minutes, and 58 seconds.
Hey everyone, Firescale Audiobooks here. If there's a novel you'd love to hear more of, you can support us on Patreon or Ko-fi. Depending on your tier, I'll make extra parts just for the stories you're most excited about. Usually, I can only upload 4 to 5 parts of each novel, but with your support, we can go beyond that. And of course, don't forget to hit subscribe. It helps more than you know.
Corey groaned as he stood up from his kneeling position. TCH. He rubbed his face in annoyance as he walked to the bathroom in his room to ease himself. Flush. What the fuck is this light? Corey put his hand in front of his face in annoyance and started walking out of the bathroom. Still half asleep, he could not see the source of light in front of his face. Bam. Fucking hell. Corey rubbed his head in anger as he looked at the wall he hit. He turned his head and looked at the door he missed due to him covering his face from the annoying light. What's this? No longer half asleep, he could finally see the source of the light which has been disturbing him, the translucent screen. If he could be granted one wish, what would it be? Remaining time, 2 minutes and 3 seconds. What the fuck is this? One wish. Am I dreaming or am I finally crazy? Corey questioned himself and looked around. He could not find anything odd. His bathroom was the same as always. He turned toward the screen once again and saw a difference. Remaining time, 1 minute and 57 seconds. As he looked at the screen, he decided to go to his room and sit on his bed. After sitting on his bed, he looked around his room and could see that his room still looked the same. He rolled up his sleeves to make sure nobody injected him while he was asleep. After seeing nothing different on his body, he rubbed his forehead. He looked at the screen and saw that the remaining time was now 1 minute 30 seconds. He put his hand to touch the screen, but his hand just phased through it. Yep, I'm tripping. I don't know how, but I'm definitely tripping, Corey said, and then laid his head on his back. He tried to ignore the screen, but it was always in his face. He tried to close his eyes and go back to sleep, but the words on the screen always came to his mind. A wish. One wish. Is this from Ogun? Corey wondered and looked at the screen. He remembered what the Pope told him about King Solomon. He also remembered how he asked for some things and for him to take his pain away. Now he was wondering if this was Ogun's way of answering him. Should I try it? Corey questioned himself and looked at the screen. His eyes turned to the timer. 50 seconds. He had less than a minute left. Corey inhaled softly and then exhaled. He decided to try it. Now what do I wish for? Corey wondered and thought. The main reason he asked for wisdom from Ogun was because he wanted to pass his upcoming exams. He wanted to be rewarded for his hard work. But if he could wish for anything, could he not wish for wealth? The main reason he was studying medicine was so that he could become rich in the future. If he could just wish for wealth, then what was the point of asking for wisdom? He got up from his resting position and sat on his bed. I wish for dash. Just as he was about to wish for wealth, he paused. He remembered King Solomon. He was wise, rich, and had a harem of 1,000 women. The Pope told him he asked for wisdom from his God. So he was wondering if he should ask for wisdom from Ogun. Could he use his wisdom to get rich and also a lot of women? The more he thought of it, the more appealing it seemed to him. If he had wisdom, he would know how to make money, and if he had money, women would flock to him. He could ask for wealth directly, and from the wealth, he could get women. But why should he settle for wealth and women when he could get wealth, women, and wisdom? 3 is better than 2, right? I wish for dash. Just as Corey was about to speak once more, a thought came to his mind. Why couldn't he wish for more than one wish? The thought of that made him laugh in happiness. Ha 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 ha, I'm the wisest. Why do I need to wish for one thing when I can wish for more than one thing? After laughing one more time, he spoke. I wish for more than one wish. He decided not to be too greedy and not ask for infinite wishes. Who knows whether Ogun will strike him down with flames for being too greedy? The thought of it sent shivers down his spine. Corey rubbed his hand in anticipation and looked at the screen, waiting for his more than one wish. He looked at the timer and saw that he only had 10 seconds left. Just as he was waiting, he saw the screen turn red. Request denied. Cannot wish for another wish. Warning. Do not wish for more than one wish once again, or there would be severe consequences. When Corey read the warning, a shiver came from his soul, and he trembled slightly. He quickly bowed towards the screen. I'm sorry, Lord Ogun. I'm sorry for trying to outsmart a great god like you. Please forgive me. After bowing, he looked at the screen and his eye moved towards the timer. He saw that he only had 6 seconds left, and he panicked slightly. His free wish from Lord Ogan was about to leave. A wish for wisdom. After he spoke, the screen changed. Requesting confirmation. Are you sure? Jeffrey was about to say yes, but a thought came to his mind, and he decided to take a gamble. He looked at the timer and saw 3 more seconds left, so he spoke quickly. I wish for unlimited wisdom, knowledge, and understanding. Corey looked at the screen and was wondering if his wish would be accepted since he was technically wishing for more than one thing. He was ready to quickly wish for only wisdom if his wish was rejected. Requesting confirmation. Are you sure? Corey looked at the time and saw only 1 second left, so he quickly spoke. Yes. He spoke louder than normal in case Lord Ogan would not hear him. Request accepted. Request would be granted in 12 hours. As soon as those words appeared on the screen, the timer reached 0 and the screen disappeared. Phew! Corey released a breath the moment the screen disappeared. He had been holding his breath unconsciously. Thank God it worked. Corey sighed and laid on his back with his head on his pillow. But still, who gives somebody only 2 minutes to think of a wish? Somebody would just go and make a rash wish. Corey said, not knowing everybody was given 3 hours. It's better I keep quiet. What if Lord Ogan decides to take my wish away cause he thinks I'm an ingrate? Corey muttered and then looked at the clock on the wall in his room. The time showed 12 a.m. So that means I'll have to wait till 12 p.m. tomorrow to know whether I was actually tripping or not. Corey muttered as he looked at the clock, his heart full of hope and anticipation. I hope I was not actually dreaming or tripping. Corey muttered and then fell asleep, his heart full of hope and his mind thinking he was the only one that Lord Ogan granted the opportunity, not knowing that every human on New Earth was also granted that same opportunity and that New Earth was currently in an uproar and a lot of people were waiting for time to fast forward to 12 p.m. the next day. Bam! Onii-chan, wake up. Wake up, Onii-chan. Bam! Fuck! Corey cursed as all his sleepiness disappeared. He sat up and saw his sister, Anna, with a pillow in her hand. He looked at her with an angry look, but she just looked at him innocently. Are you awake, Onii-chan? She lifted the pillow, and Corey quickly put his hand up. I'm awake. I'm awake. He looked at his door, which was probably definitely kicked open forcibly. If you break my door, you fix it. He looked coldly at his sister, and she lowered her head pitifully. I'm sorry, Onii-chan, she said with a pitiful tone, and Corey cringed. How many times have I told you not to do like those female anime characters? You watch too much anime. It's not like you don't watch and enjoy anime also. Anna retorted and then dropped the pillow in her hand. She then walked towards the door. Seeing her walking out of his room, he spoke. Also, didn't I tell you not to wake me up like this? Without turning her head, Anna spoke. If I didn't, you'll wake up moody and sad. No need to thank me. I know you can't do without me. After speaking, she closed the door, leaving Corey alone in his room. Corey sighed as he looked at the closed door. A smile crept up his face. What a troublesome sister. Corey stood, removed his clothes, and walked to his bathroom with a towel wrapped around his waist. As soon as he entered, he looked at the mirror in his bathroom. An average-looking face with black eyes and black hair could be seen on the mirror. He did not have fair white skin, but a caramel-colored skin. Although he was not what you would call handsome, he always took care of his skin, so his face had no spots or pimples. After looking at his face in the mirror, he turned on the tap and started having his bathe. Onii-chan, you're finally out. I thought you'd spend forever in the bathroom. Corey looked at Anna with twitching lips. He wanted to say something, but after seeing his mom and dad eating on the dining table, he kept quiet. He sighed softly and then sat beside Anna far away from his dad, who was sitting at the head of the table. Thank you for the food, Mom. Before eating, he thanked his mother since it was already ingrained in him to do so, though he did it without looking at her face. You're welcome, son. Corey's mother replied with a smile that Corey used half his eye to see. Good morning, Dad. Corey decided to greet his dad, though he didn't look at him in the face. Although his dad didn't reply him, he was not bothered and ate his food. An uncomfortable silence spread out on the dining table as the family of 4 ate, until Anna exclaimed, Oh yes. She turned towards Corey with excitement, and Corey was wondering what made her so excited. "Corey, were you able to make your wish? You were sleeping when we came back from the restaurant yesterday, and I did not want to disturb you. I set an alarm to wake up 1 hour before the deadline to wake you up in case you were still asleep, but I overslept. My wish." Corey was stunned and looked at his sister to make sure he heard it right. "Yes, your wish." Everybody on New Earth had a screen pop up in front of them, asking them to make a wish. Have you not checked the social media? Everybody is talking about it. Didn't your friends also call you or text you to tell you about it? Anna said and looked at Corey weirdly. She couldn't imagine Corey not knowing about this. Did he not make his wish? The thought of it made her heart squeeze. She should have woken him up instead of going to sleep. That wish thing was probably nonsense. Maybe an experiment done by the government or something. Corey's dad spoke after a long time as he looked at his phone. "But what if it's true, Dad?" Anna countered back and Corey's mom giggled. "It's true, honey. If it's true, you would definitely regret it. At least Anna forced you to make a wish." Corey's mom smiled as she spoke. "It was not because of Anna. The damn screen would not go away unless you made a wish." It was annoying. Corey's father did not agree and countered back. "That's a lie, Dad. It was definitely because of me." Anna argued back and Corey's father looked at her with a glare, but Anna just stretched out her tongue. As all of this was going on, Corey was shaken inwardly. He could not believe that what he thought was his opportunity from Lord Ogun. Everybody on New Earth was also given the same opportunity. Does that mean that wish was not from Ogun? He wondered. He switched off his phone throughout yesterday, cause he didn't want to be disturbed. Besides, if his phone was on, he doesn't think anyone would call him since he cut off all his friends. Well, except one. He looked at Anna, who was still arguing with her dad, and spoke. "So, Anna, did you make a wish?" Anna turned towards him, and he could see the excitement in her eyes. It was almost blinding. "Obviously, I wish to be cool and strong like Akame, Mikasa, and Tatsumaki," she said with intense excitement, though her words stunned Corey. "You mean Mikasa in the anime that has titans, Tatsumaki in the anime that has a bald man who can defeat anybody with one punch, and Akame in the anime where almost all the important characters died?" He asked with a disbelieving look. "Yes, I love them so much. They're the coolest, so when I saw the wish thing, I was so happy that I immediately used it on that," Anna said with intense excitement. Meanwhile, Corey had his mouth opened. He could not believe his sister wasted her wish on something like that. Couldn't she wish for something that would help her with real life? Like maybe money, intelligence, wisdom, beauty, something more realistic? How the hell could she ask for powers from anime characters and expect for her wish to be granted? Wait, Corey looked at his sister and asked, "Did the screen accept your wish?" "Obviously it worked," Anna said with pride and happiness. "I was lucky it worked cause when I checked, you can't actually make more than one wish. Like there are people who try to wish for money and beauty, but their wish was rejected. People said that your wish has to be similar so that the screen would accept the wish. A lot of people made very weird wishes. Check social media, you'll see a lot of information about the wish thing." Corey was about to bring out his phone, but his dad spoke. "You can check that later. Shouldn't you be on your way to the campus?" Corey was about to answer, but his sister spoke. "Wait before you go. Were you able to make your wish?" Corey looked at her and saw that she had a hopeful and also guilty look. He could guess the reason for the guilt. "I did. I woke up 2 minutes before the deadline." The moment he spoke, Anna breathed a sigh of relief. She smiled and then spoke. "What wish did you make?" "Mom asked for a better house with the best kitchen. Dad would not tell us what he wished for," Anna said and looked at him with a curious gaze. Even his mom looked at him with a curious gaze, and he guessed his dad was also listening. "I wish for wisdom." He did not want to answer, but he knew his sister would not be happy if he did not, and he did not want that. So he answered, though he did not give the whole truth. He did not want his parents to think he also had a childish mentality like his sister. He already knew how they would react if he told them. "I wish for unlimited wisdom, knowledge, and understanding." The moment Corey spoke, his mom smiled and his dad raised his head slightly. Meanwhile, Anna's hopeful gaze turned to one of disappointment. "That's boring. I was hoping you would wish to be like a handsome and powerful anime male character like Gojo or Sasuke or something." Anna said with a disappointed tone. I was trying to be realistic. Corey said, Meh, what would wisdom do if I had powers like Tatsumaki or Akame? You won't become super powerful like me. If you chose to have powers like Gojo or Sasuke, you'll also become powerful, and who knows, we might rule the world. Mwahaha. Anna laughed madly, and Corey's father looked at his wife. Can you see why I said that wish thing was definitely nonsense? Corey's father gestured towards Anna with an expression saying, See your daughter. It's not nonsense, Dad. Anna argued back, but their dad did not give any response and resumed using his phone. Young lady, we'll start reducing the amount of time you spend watching anime now. Corey's mother said, and Anna had a face of despair. No, you can't, she shrieked. I can and I shall. Their mother remained firm in her decision, and an argument started between Anna and their mother, with Anna eventually pulling their father into the argument. Meanwhile, Anna's words kept on ringing in his mind, assuming that screen thing, or whatever it was, could actually grant wishes. Would it grant the wishes of people that wished for superpowers? How will the world be like if there were people with superpowers? Teenagers with superpowers. Also, what are criminals? What would they wish for? What if psychopaths who want to watch the world burn? Who want to watch the world get destroyed? What would they wish for? Would all their wishes be granted? Corey kept on looking at his food. He was not sure if the wish screen was a good idea anymore. Also, when he thought of what he wished for, he was not so sure if he would be safe in a world where people had superpowers. He looked at the clock on the wall and saw that time was 5:55 a.m. 6 hours and 5 minutes left until 12 p.m. Attention passengers. The train will reach City East Station in 10 minutes. Attention passengers. The train will reach City East Station in 10 minutes. Attention dash. Corey raised his head and looked at the speaker where the sound of the automated voice machine was released. After listening to the announcement, he peeled his eyes away from the speaker and resumed using his phone. He was currently on a floating train that he boarded from the city where his family lived, City M. The train would take him to City E where his school was located. The distance from City M to City E was so much that even with a fast train, it took 3 hours to reach City E from City M. Corey had been using his phone ever since he got on the train, and he was immensely shocked when he saw how the Wish event was still trending online even after so many hours has passed. At first, he checked to see if any of his old friends called or texted him, but he found none except one. Becca. Seeing that name made him sigh with complex emotions. After reining in his emotions, he checked some social media platforms, and he could see that on all the platforms, the number one on the trend list was the Wish screen. People kept on talking about it. Arguments, insults, mocking, and even threats were on all the social media platforms. Some people posted what they wished for, and he saw some absurd wishes which made his heart tremble at the darkness of some people's hearts. For instance, somebody wished for him to be able to fuck 10-year-old girls anytime he wants. Another wished for unlimited number of female corpses to fuck anytime he wants. Another wished for him to be able to enslave all women with his penis. A woman wished for a penis that was able to rape and enslave all men. Some wished for the destruction of all hospitals. A female wished to be gangbanged and impregnated by beasts and monsters. Another said he wanted a lot of newborn babies to kill and torture. Another said she wanted her parents to die cruelly. Another wished for the destruction of the world. Another wished to feel intense amount of pain every day. There were so many absurd wishes which shook him and made him wonder why people were so dark in their hearts. And as he saw those wishes, he was already scared of what might happen if all these people's wishes would be truly granted. The more he thought of the wish screen, the less appealing it was to him. Although this dark wishes made him fearful of the future, there were some wishes which made him more fearful of the future if all the wishes were truly granted. Like, for example, some people said they wanted to be gods. Some said they wanted to be devils. Some said they wanted to be the strongest human in the world. Some said they wanted to be the strongest gods in the universe. Some wished to rule the world. Some wished to be the richest man in the world. Some asked for a very powerful system. Some asked for the ability to control death and become a necromancer. Some asked for the ability to control shadows. Somebody even asked for the ability to summon titans and giants. Somebody even asked for the powers of Sun Wukong. The worst part of it was that all these wishes were accepted. Like, how can you wish to be a god and it'll be accepted? There were so many people that asked for different powerful abilities that shook him. When he eventually thought of what he asked for, his mood plummeted and an unsightly expression appeared on his face. Assuming the wish screen truly granted everybody their wish, then he was seriously in trouble because his wish did not grant him any fighting ability. As he kept on scrolling through the platforms on his phone, he also saw that there were arguments about whether the wish screen would truly grant the wishes. Most did not believe that the wish screen would truly grant all these wishes because if it did, then the world would become chaotic. In fact, chaotic would be an understatement. Many just believed, like his father, that the wish screen was an experiment done by the government. And their belief was further solidified because the government did not say anything regarding the wish screen, making people to believe that the wish screen was probably a secret project and experiment. In fact, people were tense about this wish screen, and most wished for the wish screen to just be a figment of their imagination because they knew the consequences of the wish screen. It was funny to Corey, actually, when he saw this. Humans were given the opportunity to be granted one wish, but if everybody's wishes were granted, then the world would definitely be in chaos. Attention passengers. We have arrived at City E. Please to board the train. Attention passengers. We have arrived at City E. Please to board the train. Attention passengers. We have arrived dash. The automated voice brought out Corey from his thoughts. He stood up from his seat and walked out of the train after a few push and struggle. After walking out, he looked around, then pushing his way through the crowd, he walked out of the train station. As soon as he walked out, he spent a few seconds to admire the beauty of City. He was part of the upper class in their country, unlike City M, which was part of the middle class. He could see the tall skyscrapers which looked like massive giants in his eyes. He saw the floating cars and bikes which City M did not have. One day, I'll own a floating bike, Corey thought, and stopped a taxi, telling the driver to take him to E Academy. 20 minutes later, he got down from the taxi and stood in front of the gate where he could see a statue of a beautiful bird in front of the gate. He stopped in front of the gate and a flying round machine came in front of him. A red light shines on him, and after a few seconds the light turned green. The robot flew away after, and then a beep resounded and the gate opened. He greeted the guards in the guardhouse and walked into the academy. He noticed some security drones flying in the air, but since he was used to it and had already obtained clearance before passing the gate, they didn't bother him. After walking for a few minutes, he saw a car park where taxis were waiting and boarded one, taking him to the male dormitories. The main reason he was back in school today was because tomorrow was when the academy would officially resume. A few minutes later, he dropped from the cab and walked into the male dormitory. As he was walking, he heard the conversation of the boys and also girls in the male dormitory, and most of them were speaking about Wish Screen. There was even a group where an argument was taking place concerning whether it would truly grant their wishes or not. Some were even arguing about whose wish was better or stronger. He ignored all of them and climbed the stairs to his room. He opened the door to his room and then dropped his bag on the floor and jumped on his bed. He crossed his legs and brought out his phone. The first thing his eyes went to after bringing out his phone was the time. 10:15 a.m. 1 hour 45 minutes left. Corey muttered. He set an alarm for 11:50 a.m. on his phone, then closed his eyes to sleep. He had nothing to do and no one to talk to. His roommate moved out of their room after finding out that Corey was a dead and boring guy. So since he had nothing to do, he'd rather sleep. 1 hour 35 minutes later. Ring, 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 ring. Corey's alarm rang, and after an internal struggle, he stopped the annoying alarm and walked to the bathroom to wash his face so as to fully wake up. After washing and drying his face, he sat on his bed and looked at his phone. 11:57 a.m. 3 minutes left. He stood up and walked to the window in his room. He could see around 100 students gathered together outside the dorm, excitedly talking together. As he looked at them, he could see some faces he recognized. He sighed and then looked at his phone. Just as he did, a light shone in front of him. He reflexively closed his eyes, and when he did, he saw the same translucent screen which was meant to grant them wishes, but this time, the contents on the screen were different. Hello, inhabitants of New Earth. All requested wishes would now be distributed. Please note, various wishes had to be modified to not disturb the balance of the universe. Mana would be introduced into the planet. New species would be introduced into the planet. Mark of the universal system would be branded on all inhabitants of New Earth. Good luck. Glory to the All-Father. The moment Corey finished reading the words on the system, he felt slight pain on his right hand, and when he looked, he saw an outline of an eye, but it was not so clear. As he was looking at his right hand, he became worried because the pain was increasing. Very soon the pain increased to the point that Corey was forced to kneel. He groaned, and when the pain was becoming unbearable, it stopped. Ha ha ha. Corey panted, and after recovering a little, he looked at the back of his right hand where he could see a red open eye. What the hell is this? It looks creepy. The second after Corey spoke, a translucent screen flickered in front of him. He was surprised, and then he read the contents. Branding complete. Brand level, level 1. Transferring gift. What's brand lev dash? Corey could not complete his sentence as he felt a chill pass through his body. He shivered, but before he could say or do anything, an intense pain assaulted Corey's entire body, especially his brain. Arg, arg! He screamed like he had never screamed before. He clutched his head and rolled on the floor, even banging his head on the floor, wanting something, anything to end the pain he was feeling. It felt like his head was about to explode. So much information, so much knowledge was being poured into his brain, and it was so fucking painful. This intense pain, which only lasted for a minute, felt like forever to Corey. Sweat covered his entire body, and there was even blood on his head as he laid on the floor with his back, twitching. Tears streamed down Corey's face without him knowing and his control. The pain was so much that tears streamed out his eyes. A few seconds after the pain ended, he saw the translucent screen. Fear apparent in his eyes that something painful would happen to him again. He read the contents with trepidation. Gift transferred. Gift, omniscience. Ability of gift reduced to lowest level due to weak level of receiver. Congratulations on getting a gift above the immortal level as a non-awakened. Branding level would be increased to the second level. After Corey read the contents, he felt a searing pain on his right hand. Oh, come on. Corey cursed and gritted his teeth as he endured the pain. He was not a masochist who enjoyed pain for fuck's sake. He barely even went through situations which caused him pain. He hated pain. A few seconds later, the pain disappeared and the contents on the translucent screen changed. Branding level increased. Brand level, level 2. Gift has been transferred. Branding has been placed. To view your information through the brand, you can either say status or just will it. Universal system welcomes the All-Father. All-Father, Corey muttered subconsciously and then noticed everywhere becoming dark. He felt a pressure that sent intense shivers to his very soul. He struggled to sit and then looked out through the window. His eyes were immediately drawn to the sky. In the sky was a face that filled the entire sky, a face filled with indescribable power that just by looking at it, Corey felt unworthy. The face had no mouth or nose, but had 6 pair of eyes, 12 eyes. The eyes were currently closed. But in the next second, the eyes opened at the same time, and 12 different colors of light shot out from those 12 eyes onto different parts of the world. The rays of light were so fast that if one blinked, one would miss it. As Corey looked at the rays of light, he noticed that one landed somewhere in their country, or at least near their country, but was far away from City M and E. Just as he thought that was all, a tremor ran throughout the whole new Earth, and 12 different colors of light exploded, brightening up the sky, like how the lightning appears before the thunder. So did the light appear before the Big Bang. Boom! Boom! The whole Earth trembled as 12 different places on the planet experienced cataclysmic changes. The dormitory Corey was in trembled due to the earthquake that occurred. Shit! Corey cursed as he narrowly dodged a falling debris. Corey ran to his wardrobe, and hid inside as he knew that was the safest spot in his room. The dormitory trembled for a few more seconds before it stopped, though Corey still hid in his wardrobe to make sure everything was actually safe. After confirming that it was safe, he came out, only to find his room in shambles. As he was about to move, he heard a scream coming from outside, and he moved to the window to take a look, but the moment he did, fear gripped his heart. "Help me! Help me! Stop! Don't come closer! Arg! What happened to you, Jake? Why are you doing this? Arg! My leg! Pandemonium! Chaos!" Corey could see students fighting each other. There were at least 100 students who gathered together outside, and now each and every one of them were fighting against themselves. Death! Screams of agony. Pleads. Corey could hear and see everything, and he stood in shock for at least 5 seconds before he snapped out of it. He walked to his bed quickly and started searching his bag, all the while cursing. I knew it. I just fucking knew it. That wish screen was bad. Fucking evil piece of shit. As he rummaged through his bag, he threw a lot of stuffs away, like his books and some other educational stuffs. Ever since his sister told him that her wish was granted, he did not feel safe about the wish screen at all, and was already preparing his mind for a chaotic world. He did not wish for superpowers, but fucking wisdom, and now he had no way to defend himself. Maybe if I did not cut off all my friends, I would have known about everyone being granted a wish, and I would not have made a wish like wisdom. Corey thought, and then shook his head to rid himself of sad thoughts. He focused on searching his bag, and a few seconds later, he brought out 2 kitchen knives. This should at least grant me some protection, Corey muttered, then his mind went to his sister, who wished for superpowers. Oh, I'm so fucking dead. Corey cursed, and then inhaled and exhaled. He placed 1 kitchen knife in his trousers and then used his t-shirt to cover it. He could hear the screams coming from outside his room, and he knew it was going to be very dangerous. He also knew he definitely could not hide in his room forever, since it was 100% not a safe place. He walked up to the door and then knelt. He checked the space underneath the door to make sure there was no shadow of anything or anybody in front of his door. After making sure there was none, he stepped out, gripping the knife tightly. The moment he stepped out, his face changed and his heartbeat quickened. There were dead bodies in the hallway. Blood, flesh, and debris filled the hallway. Corey inhaled and exhaled to calm his fragile and scared heart. You can do this, Corey. You already guessed that this might happen. You prepared your mind for this. You got this. Corey muttered to himself, trying to rile himself up. He then raised his hand up and slapped himself. Pa! Ow! That fucking hurt. He rubbed his cheek, and when he was about to start moving, he heard a growl coming from behind him. Growling. He turned to the back shakily, and what he saw frightened him. One of the human corpses on the floor stood up shakily with its back facing Corey. A corpse rising back from the dead won't have frightened Corey as much as this one did. What frightened Corey was that the corpse's head was facing backwards with a fist-sized hole in its chest, which meant that its dead eyes were currently staring at Corey, even though its back was Corey. Corey stood rooted on the spot, not knowing what to do. He was scared, truly scared. He didn't know how to deal with this. He looked at the corpse, and he could see that the corpse was that of a female. The corpse then smiled at Corey, sending shivers down Corey's spine. Just as he was about to make a break for it, something weird happened. One of the doors behind the corpse in the hallway opened quietly. A teenage skinny boy walked out of the door holding a baseball bat, and then quietly walked to the corpse. The corpse, unaware, kept on looking at Corey. Meanwhile, Corey looked at the boy, and he could see the boy giving him a signal to just stay where he is, distracting the corpse. Corey was tempted to let the corpse become aware of the boy behind it, but after thinking about it, he was not that ruthless, and besides, if the boy could kill the corpse, it would be better. When the boy got close to the corpse, he raised the bat up and with all his might, no matter how small it was, smashed the bat onto the corpse's head. Pa! 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 The boy repeatedly smashed the head of the corpse until it stopped moving and the head became unrecognizable. Meanwhile, Corey's mouth was open as he was shocked at the boy's ruthlessness, especially after seeing the boy's physique. Ah ha ha! Corey heard the boy panting and took a step forward. Are you okay? He asked, but the boy did not respond. until a second later, he started laughing. Ha 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 ha. This is just like a novels I've read. An apocalypse happens, and people turn into zombies, and the zombies would eventually give exps. I'm definitely going to become like a protagonist and do my best. I'll definitely become the strongest. No more people bullying me. I'll have plenty women like those protagonists, and I'll also become a king. Ha ha ha. But that damn universal system, it cheated me. I asked for a system which would have free lucky roulettes, but the damn system said IT is the system. It has given me, and it only gave me one damn free lucky roulette. The rest I have to pay to spin the roulette wheel. In fact, after spinning it, it only gave me a pill that increased my strength and agility by 1 point each. What a fucking scam. As the boy kept on rambling, Corey kept on looking at him with a weird look. One of those weird shut-ins. Corey thought, and just as he was about to move closer to the boy, he stopped and saw something that totally spooked him. A translucent mist rose up from the corpse and went straight towards the boy. Due to the boy's mindless rambling, he was unaware of the mist, and the mist drilled into his body. Arg! Help me! Help me! The boy shook, screamed, and pleaded. He stretched out his arms towards Corey, pleading with Corey to help, but Corey, too scared about the unknown, dared not to take a step towards him. In fact, he took a step back. The boy's screams continued for a few more seconds, and then it died down. With his head hung low, though, he was still on his feet. Corey, unaware of what the heck was happening, spoke from a distance, tightening his grip on his kitchen knife. Hey, are you all right? As Corey spoke, he saw the boy's finger twitch. Corey took a step back because of precaution and his feeling of something been wrong. As he continued taking steps backward, the boy finally raised his head and looked at Corey. Although it looked like there was nothing wrong with the boy, what raised alarm bells in Corey's head was that the same smile the corpse had when it was facing him, the boy, or whatever it was, also had it. Hello, Ann. Before Corey finished speaking, the boy's mouth opened much, much wider than it should, and a roar was released from the boy. Roar! Goodbye. Corey ran with all his might, and the boy, no, monster behind him chased after him. Crash! Bang! Roar! Corey toppled some waste bins, and also whatever he could topple, try to reduce the monster's speed. He was scared, he was afraid, and he was panting hard. The monster was slightly faster than him, which was not a surprise considering Corey rarely played sports and never worked out. As he kept on running, he saw the stairs leading to the topmost floor, and without hesitation, he climbed the stairs since he knew there was a dead end at the front. The monster, still hot on his tracks, followed him, roaring with anger. Corey, with fear in his heart, thought of what to do as he climbed the stairs leading to topmost floor. His speed reduced, and the monster resulted to using its hands and legs to climb the stairs instead, shortening the distance between Corey and it. Corey, not wanting to lose his life, ran with all his might, even though his muscles were starting to ache. As he climbed the last step, he saw the closest room on the hallway and opened it, wanting to enter before the monster emerged from the stairs. But the moment he put a foot inside the room, he stopped due to what he saw inside the room. For monsters, one had tentacles as its chin and was wearing a chef's apron while holding a spatula. The second had several eyes on its forehead and had a tentacle as its hands. The third was bigger than the rest and had small eyes. It was also wearing a suit. The last had the body of tree roots and intestines with a human face and was sitting on a chair in front of a table. And on this table was a cake with 3 candles on it. Behind the monsters were birthday decorations, and on the wall was written Happy Birthday. Corey looked at the monsters blankly, and the monsters looked back at him. Wrong room, Corey said, backing away softly and slowly, while closing the door quietly and slowly. Roar, 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 bang. The moment he closed the door trembled, and Corey, fearful that the door would break down, ran for his life with a depressed and miserable look. Who the fuck sent me to wish for wisdom? Fuck. I'm so fucking dead. Corey cursed as he kept on running, afraid that the monsters in the room he checked out would break down the door and chase him like that creepy first monster. He looked at his back, checking to see if the 4 monsters were behind him, since it was much quieter than he expected. But the moment he looked back, A bewildered look appeared on his face, and he stopped. Huh, where are the monsters? Corey scratched his head and looked around. He could not find any of the 4 monsters, or even the first monster he encountered. Did they die? Corey muttered, and the moment he did, he heard a growl. Grr! At the end of the corridor, the smiling, creepy monster was standing there with the same smile it had from the beginning. Nope. Smiley is definitely alive and kicking. Corey looked at the door to his right and then to his left. Then he looked at Smiley, which was walking slowly towards him. He gritted his teeth and then moved to the door on the right and opened it. Although he clearly remembered what happened after he opened the door to the first room, he was hoping the first room he opened was a special room, and not all rooms were like that, because at the end of the hallway was a staircase that led to the roof. He knew if he did not find a way to lose Smiley in this hallway, he would definitely die if he went to the rooftop, because there would be no hiding spot and nothing to use against Smiley. Although he hoped for this room to be normal, Lady Luck was definitely not smiling upon Corey. The moment Corey opened the door, he saw mist in the room, and at the center of the room, surrounded by the mist, was a creature which had the head of a goat's skull with 4 horns. It was wearing a black robe with some pieces of armor, and in its hands were 2 swords. The monster, which was looking down, suddenly looked up towards Corey. Oh, fuck me. Corey cursed, and wasting no time, slammed the door shut. Bang! Boom! A force came from the other side of the door, making the door tremble, and Corey staggering a few steps back. Roar! A roar of anger resounded from the room into the corridors, making Corey tremble subconsciously. He took more steps backwards while looking at the door with fear and trepidation, worried that the monster inside would break down the door and strike him down. A few seconds passed, and after seeing the door intact and no monster coming out, he breathed a sigh of relief. He remembered Smiley and turned towards it, but was shocked to see Smiley trembling while staying rooted on the spot. Corey looked at the door to his right and then back at Smiley. A thought appeared in his head, whether he should open the door again and see what effects it would have on Smiley. Though as this thought entered his head, it immediately disappeared when he thought of how powerful the thing behind the door must be. Corey looked at the trembling and still Smiley and then looked at the left door. He gritted his teeth and opened the door. He had to find a room that was normal. That was his only chance, even if opening a door was risky now. As he opened the door, he braced himself and was fully alert and ready to close the door immediately if it was dangerous. Though when he looked inside the room, a stunned expression appeared on Corey's face. The room was filled with water, and when Corey was expecting the water to pour out, it did not. It seemed like the water was stopped by a sort of barrier. The room was dark like the bottom of the ocean, causing Corey not to be able to see inside of the room properly. He was about to close the door due to bizarre environment of the room, but just as he was about to close the door, he saw something. He squinted his eyes to have a better look, his curiosity getting the better of him. 2 seconds later, he could see what was in the water clearly. 2 monsters that looked alike. They had human upper bodies and beautiful faces with white long hair, though their lower bodies were made out of tentacles. They were facing each other, and in the hands of the creature on the left was a human skull. As Corey stared at the monsters, unaware at first, eventually stared right back at Corey. Corey blinked twice and slammed the door shut, not saying a word or waiting for the monster to do anything. Although he slammed the door shut, a very loud scream resounded from the other side of the door. Cree-ee-ee-ee. Arg! Corey staggered several steps backwards while holding his ear in pain. The door in front of him shook slightly, but not as intensely as the previous door he opened. Corey took a few seconds to regain his bearing since his head and ears kept on ringing. After he totally regained his bearing, he turned towards Smiley and saw Smiley on its knees trembling. Its hands were on its ears, and it continually shook its head. Corey calmed down slightly and was slightly surprised. He wondered why the shouts of the monsters were affecting Smiley a lot and was extremely tempted to open the left and right doors again, but he didn't want to take that risk. What if the monsters were waiting right in front of the door? He would definitely die if that was the case and would not have the chance to close the door. Corey moved backwards without turning his back to Smiley. He didn't know when Smiley would recover and attack him. He reached the next doors and looked at the doors to his left and right. He chose to open the left this time around. Please, oh please, let me a normal room, or else I would die eventually. Corey prayed, then took a deep breath and opened the door. Once again he was stunned, and this time he was fearful. Very fearful of what he saw in the room. Inside the room was a forest, and in this forest was a monster with a human upper body as large as 3 humans combined together. It had 3 sets of arms, 6 arms altogether, while its lower body was that of a snake, and it was so long to the point that Corey could not see its end. What made Corey fearful was the number of corpses and bones he could see around this creature. In the creature's lower pair of arms was a bloodied teenage boy with only 1 leg. The other leg was been held by another hand of the monster, while the 2 upper hands were holding 2 trees, making the monster not to touch the floor. The monster at the moment was focused on the leg in its hand as it chewed on a part of it. It was currently unaware of Corey. Corey, seeing that, wanted to close the door, but before he could, the teenage boy in the monster's arms looked at Corey, and with a fearful and trembling voice he spoke. Please help me. Save me. Corey went stiff as he cursed at the boy 1,000,000 times in his head. He looked at the monster and saw the monster looking directly at him. He looked at the monster's golden eyes and gulped. Is the meal tasty? He questioned, then slammed the door shut, but the monster from inside the room slammed the door with so much force after it closed that it sent Corey flying to the wall. Boom! Bang! Roar! Corey spat saliva and coughed a few times. He trembled as he heard the monster roar from the room. He just knew deep within his soul that that monster was on a whole different level than the previous ones. He looked at the door with a fearful and trembling look, worried that the door would break down, but the door was closed shut and no crack whatsoever appeared on the door. He exhaled a breath of relief and then looked at Smiley. He saw Smiley on his knees while shaking its head crazily. Corey was worried and afraid about what was happening to Smiley, and then he saw Smiley stop shaking its head. Smiley looked up at Corey, and Corey got the fright of his life. There was no smile on Smiley's face, just pure anger and hatred. They both stared at each other for a second, and then, roar! Smiley's mouth widened unnaturally, and he roared much louder than he did before. It stood up and ran with a much faster speed towards Corey with so much killing intent that it frightened Corey. Corey, thinking of what to do, quickly looked at the door behind him, the right door. He definitely could not outrun Smiley, seeing Smiley's speed, and even if he survived and reached the roof. Where'd he go? How would he escape Smiley? He doesn't even know if he could kill Smiley. The weird shut-in from before legit smashed Smiley's head to a pulp, but Smiley still didn't die and possessed the boy. He could definitely not hope that if he killed Smiley now, that Smiley would truly die. So as he looked at the door behind him, he stretched his hand up from his sitting position and opened the door, hoping that the room behind this door would be a normal room where he could run into safely, or there would be a monster which would affect Smiley like how the previous ones did. The moment Corey opened the door, he looked inside hopefully, but was shocked to see a very long, dark, and narrow corridor. What the fuck? Corey heard a growl, then looked to his right. His breath stopped when he saw Smiley was close to him, about 2 meters away from him. Just as he was about to jump into the creepy and dark corridor since he had no choice, he heard a laugh. A very weird, creepy, and unsettling laugh. Keek 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 keek. Keek 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 keek. Keek 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 keek. Are you here to play with us? Corey looked at the corridor, and the moment he did, his heart skipped not just 1 beat, but several beats. In the corridor, which was previously empty, were extremely long hands. They filled the entire narrow corridor and were moving around irrationally. Corey, petrified due to fear, forgot all about Smiley, which was running more madly towards him. Normally, it would have been petrified like Corey, but due to Corey's previous actions, where he opened the previous doors of terrible monsters, its mind, consumed by anger, ignored the current fear and just wanted to kill and eat Corey cruelly for putting it through those previous fears. The moment Smiley was close to Corey, it jumped towards him and opened its mouth extremely wide, wanting to swallow him. A guttural roar escaped from its mouth. Also, the moment Smiley jumped, The hands in the corridor started moving towards the door, and the monster or monsters in the corridor spoke. "Come play with us. Come play with us. Come play with Uis." The creatures shrieked, and then the hands stretched towards the door in an extremely fast speed, that in 2 seconds it reached the door. In a weird sort of coincidence, Smiley, which was jumping towards the sitting Corey, appeared in the path of the hands. The hands wanted to grab Corey, at first grabbed Smiley, and tore it in half. Blood, intestines, and bones poured on top of Corey's head, bathing him in corpse blood and flesh. Toy, 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 toy. The monster, seemingly satisfied with Smiley, spoke with joy and pulled it inside, leaving Corey alone and the corridor empty. Corey, still in a daze, looked at the empty corridor, then looked at the door. A few seconds later, he closed the door softly, afraid to disturb the monsters. He stood up without saying a word, wanting to leave. But as he was about to leave, he noticed 3 glowing crystal-like objects on the spot where Smiley was torn in half. They seemed special, so he picked them up and put them inside his pocket. He didn't bother checking what the crystals were since he wanted nothing more than to leave this place, this building. His fragile heart and body could not stay in this place anymore. Corey walked through the hallway and then stopped at the stairs. He could see incomplete corpses, blood, and torn pieces of flesh and bones on the stairs. The more he observed the stairs, the more it looked more like the stairs of death in his eyes. Corey gulped, then remembered how Smiley rose up from a bunch of corpses and cold sweat dripped down his back. He took several steps back and then looked at the hallway with the closed doors on both sides. He remembered the extremely terrible monsters inside the rooms and gulped once again. He alternated his sight between the stairs and the corridor, eventually choosing the corridor. He could not take the risk and hoped that another Smiley would not appear from the corpses when he had 0 ways of killing a Smiley. Although the hallway had terrible monsters, they could not get out of the rooms, which made the hallway much, much safer than the stairs. Corey sat beside one of the doors with his back facing the wall. He hugged his knees and put his head in between his legs. Fuck, fuck, fuck. I'm so fucking going to die. I hate this. I hate this so very fucking much. I just knew that wish screen was bad. I knew that the world was going to be fucking chaotic. But what the fuck is this? Did a bastard wish for this? Somebody can't even kill something like Smiley. Also, I take back my wish. Give me another chance. Just fucking take back my wish. I wish for superpower that can kill Smileys. No, wait, I wish to be a god. I wish to be the strongest human on the planet. Just give me a superpower that can kill Smileys, or at least defend myself. I didn't fucking know that everybody was granted a wish. Or else I would never have wished for fucking wisdom. Hey, universal system. Did you hear me? Answer me, you motherfucker. Corey raised his head and shouted with indignation, forgetting that his shout could arouse the attention of another Smiley or a different monster. You know what? Fuck you, universal system. Raising up his 2 middle fingers to the air, he cursed and then slumped backwards with a depressed look. How the fuck do I get out of here? Corey muttered depressingly, but just as he did, a crystal object fell out from his pocket. Oh, I forgot about this thing. Corey muttered, then picked up the crystal object. He observed and turned it around curiously. What the hell is this? The moment Corey asked, a translucent screen appeared on top of his right hand. Corey, with a stunned look, brought his hand closer to his face to read the contents of the screen. Soul Stone of a Tier 0 Revenant identified. Do you want to absorb? Corey blinked a few times, and he looked at the screen with a confused expression. Smiley's Soul Stone? What the hell is a Soul Stone? He asked, but got no answer or response from the universal system. What kind of shitty universal system is this? At least explain what a Soul Stone is. Corey cursed at the universal system, but got 0 response from it. Corey, knowing that he could do nothing to do the system side, and then looked at the screen, pondering whether he should accept. He was not sure what a Soul Stone was, and if it would have any negative effects. He tried to think of what kind of effects a Soul Stone might have, but his mind came up with nothing. Arg, this is so frustrating. Corey held his head in frustration. Then he gritted his teeth and made his choice. Fuck yes. I want to absorb the Soul Stone. although it was risky agreeing to absorbing something he doesn't understand. He decided to do it when he remembered he was currently stuck in this building and he needed to find something, anything that will increase his chances of survival. As soon as Corey said yes, the eye at the back of his hand, the brand of the universal system, let out an orange glow, and it was at that moment Corey remembered it was red previously. Despite the change in the color of the eye, Corey's attention was brought to the soul stone in his right hand. The orange glow from the eye covered his entire hand and the soul stone. Then the soul stone turned to ash. The moment it turned to ash, Corey felt something moving into his body from his right hand, and this process continued for a few seconds and then stopped. The eye also stopped glowing. As Corey kept on looking at the orange eye, he felt stronger and more powerful. It was not a massive increase in strength that would turn him into Superman. Although it was just a slight increase in strength, Corey knew that he was stronger and also faster than before. How am I stronger? Corey muttered, and then he remembered that he had 2 more crystals in his pocket, so he brought them out. As he looked at the crystals in his right hand, he noticed that they were both different from the previous crystal. One was red in color, while the other was colorless, but Corey could see something like letters in it. Just as he was about to observe the letters, a screen popped up from the eye on his right hand, and Corey, leaving the matter of the letters at the back of his mind, looked at the screen and read its contents. Skill crystal identified. Do you want to absorb? Red grade weapon identified. Do you want to obtain ownership? Corey looked at the screen for a few seconds and then nodded his head a few times. This is much better. At least I have an idea what a skill crystal and red grade weapon could be, unlike that soul stone. He didn't hesitate this time around and gave his response. Yes, I want the skill crystal and the weapon. The moment Corey spoke, an orange light was released from Corey's right hand, and the same thing that happened to the soul stone happened to the 2 crystals. The skill crystal turned to ash, and Corey felt something flow into his body and then his brain. He was expecting to know about the skill he got from the skill crystal, but he got nothing. No information appeared in his brain, no increase in strength. He didn't feel anything different in his body. Was I wrong? Corey frowned when he realized that no change happened to his body, nor did he get any new information about the skill. Although no change happened to his body, nor did he get any new information, he somehow felt different. He could not wrap his finger around the feeling, just that he felt different. I guess I'll find out what the skill crystal did to me eventually. Corey muttered, then looked at the object which was in his hand, temporarily forgetting about the skill crystal. In his hand was a red, beautiful dagger with carvings on the handle. Corey was mesmerized by the beauty of the dagger and kept on looking at it for a few seconds before he picked it up. So beautiful. Corey muttered and grazed the blade with his finger. He stopped grazing the dagger a few seconds later and swung it a few times in the air. I've definitely fallen in love. Don't worry, baby. I'll definitely keep you and protect you. Corey rubbed the dagger affectionately as he spoke. Although the dagger is beautiful, I don't know if it can truly kill Smileys. Corey said, then placed the dagger on his lap. How do I know if it can truly kill Smileys? Corey muttered and thought of trying on a Smiley if he finds one, but when he thought of how stupid that would be, the thought vanished from his head immediately. Corey kept on racking his brain on how to know if the dagger could truly kill a Smiley, since it came from the system and Smiley's corpse. A few seconds later, as if he was struck by lightning, he had a shocked expression on his face. How come I forgot? Status. Corey said out loud, and a translucent screen appeared on top of his right hand. He moved his right hand closer to his face, and he saw his information for the first time. Basic information. Name, Corey Jr. Zane. Race, human. Brand level, 2. Affiliation, none. Class, none. Gift/talent. Omniscience, unawakened. Language, English. Titles, one of the 4 possessors of a graded gift on planet New Earth. Tier 0. Level, 0-4 unawakened. Attributes, Strength, 3-7. Agility, 3-5. Dexterity, 1-2. Constitution, 3-5. Intelligence, 10-50. Endurance, 2-4. Mana, 0. Free A.P. 12. Hidden attributes. Luck /100. Charisma /100. Wisdom / skills. Record talent skill. Resistances. Fear resistance LV1. Equipments. Ghost Reaper red grade. Pet /mount. None. System remark. Average stats of a normal human is 5, but yours could not even reach 5 until you leveled up 4 times. How much of a weakling are you? And what is the point of having so much intelligence if you can't even use it? Basic information. Name, Corey Jr. Zane. Race, human. Brand level, 2. Affiliation, none. Class, none. Gift /talent. Omniscience, unawakened. Language, English. Titles, one of the 4 possessors of a graded gift on planet New Earth. Tier 0. Level 0-4 unawakened. Attributes. Strength 3-7. Agility 3-5. Dexterity 1-2. Constitution 3-5. Intelligence 10-50. Endurance 2-4. Mana 0. Free A.P. 12. Hidden attributes. Luck /100. Charisma /100. Wisdom / skills. Record talent skill. Resistances. Fear resistance LV1. Equipments. Ghost Reaper red grade. Pet /mount. None. System remark. Average stats of a normal human is 5, but yours could not even reach 5 until you leveled up 4 times. How much of a weakling are you? And what is the point of having so much intelligence if you can't even use it? What the fuck? As Corey looked at his status, he was somewhat baffled and lost when he saw how long the status screen was. When he saw the system remark, he was baffled the more. Why was the system making snarky remarks at him? Although he doesn't read so much novels and manga, he has read a novel where the main character had something like a status screen, and the contents of the status screen was definitely not as much as this, and it definitely did not have a system remark which made fun of him. There were so many things on it that sort of confused him, like the tier, his talent /gift, his skill, and what it meant by unawakened. He tried to touch the word tier, since he knew that in some games, you find information on a certain word on your status screen by clicking on that word. But when he touched it, nothing. He touched it again. No change on the screen. What kind of shitty universal system is this? At least explain to me what a few of this means. Corey cursed angrily and kept on tapping on the word tier, but no matter how many times he tapped it, it did not change a single thing. He cursed once again, then tried to tap omniscience. He expected it not to work, but surprisingly the screen changed. A surprised expression appeared on Corey's face. Then he read the contents on the screen. Omniscience. Your wisdom, knowledge, and understanding knows no limit, but due to your weak strength, your talent was sealed and cannot unleash its full potential. Become stronger and unleash more of your talent's potential. Effect. Grants plus 10 intelligence attribute point per level up. Sounds great and all, but how the fuck am I meant to survive against people that wish to be gods, devils, and all those cheat anime characters? Can my wisdom give me the ability to kill a fucking smiley? Corey gritted his teeth in anger as he read the description of his talent. The system made it sound so cool and awesome, but his talent could not give him the ability to kill a fucking smiley. Talk less of the terrible monsters in the sealed rooms. My wish would definitely be the end of me. Corey lamented, then looked at the word unawakened, which was beside omniscience and level. He tapped the one that was beside omniscience, but nothing changed. He then tapped the one beside level, but nothing changed also. What should I expect from a stupid system? Corey sneered and did not try again. He was tired of the system. He looked at his talent skill record and tapped on it. You better show me a description, cause I don't know what this means at all. Corey hoped, and was half expecting the system to behave like how it usually does. Useless. But surprisingly, the screen changed and a description was shown. Record. A passive skill which records everything in front of your eyes into your brain. You can view the recorded events anytime and the skill analyses the stats of anybody, as long as the difference in tier is not greater than 1. The longer the time of record, the more detailed the statistics of the individual. After Corey read the contents, his shoulders slumped and an expression of despair appeared on his face. I knew that my talent would be useless in protecting myself, but I was hoping that it would maybe give me an ability I can use to protect myself. But, Corey gritted his teeth as his eyes read the description once again. This won't help me in protecting jack shit. It can't even kill a fucking smiley. Corey exhaled and inhaled deeply for a few seconds before looking at the dagger on his lap. Please don't disappoint me, my baby. Corey rubbed it a few times, then looked at the equipment section of his status screen. He tapped the only equipment he had, Ghost Reaper, and surprisingly it worked. Corey looked at the status screen with a surprised expression and read the contents on the screen. Ghost Reaper, a red-grade dagger inscribed with the ability to harm and kill ghost-like entities below Tier 1. As Corey read the description of Ghost Reaper, his breath stopped and his eyes widened. Fuck yes, Corey shouted with joy and relief. He even picked up the dagger and kissed it affectionately. Ha 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 ha, I'm safe now. I have a way to kill smileys. Corey laughed so loud that if not for his luck and the fact that the smileys can sense the auras of the terrible monsters locked in the rooms where Corey was, he would be killed due to the number of smileys he would have to face, which was in fact not a lot at all. Corey, not knowing how lucky he was, stood up and held the dagger tightly. He wanted to throw the kitchen knives away since it could not kill a smiley, but he eventually decided not to. Having more than one weapon is safer, Corey thought, and decided to hide the knife on the other side of waist, opposite where he kept the second knife. I hope I'm not forgetting something, Corey muttered, then looked at the status screen to make sure he didn't forget anything. His eyes went to his record ability. He was curious about what he recorded, but since he knew it would not help him at the moment, he decided to check it out later. He checked the status screen once again, and his eyes were drawn to the brand level at the basic information section of his status. I totally forgot to check that out. Corey scratched his head and tapped the word, trying to get a description from it, but the universal system was the universal system, and what was it? Useless. Useless piece of garbage. Corey cursed the universal system when nothing changed after tapping brand level. He was not shocked, just annoyed at how useless the system was. Corey put his dagger in front of his face and kissed it. You're the only one I can rely on. He kissed it once again. From now on, I'm going to call you Smile Reaper. I don't care what the universal system calls you, Corey said with a smile and strapped his bag properly. He then walked towards the stairs. Now let's go wipe out the smiles from those smileys. A dangerous smile appeared on Corey's face. A/N. This chapter was sponsored by Humanox for dropping 2 Power Stones. Please appreciate him in the comment section. Also, since you're the first person to drop Power Stones for me, I'm going to use your name as a character in the novel. Tell me in the comment box what you want is your wish, and if you have no idea, don't worry, I'll think of something. Also, people, tell me in the comment section what you would wish for if you had such an opportunity like the inhabitants of planet New Earth. Who knows, I might use one of your wishes in the novel. Also, don't forget to vote. It's just voting with Power Stones, and it doesn't require money. You can use the free Power Stones web novel gives to readers for doing daily quests. Even if I have to reduce how much I sleep, I would. So vote. Don't forget I won't leave it like this for so long. Who knows, I might also use your name and wish in the novel if you vote like Humanox. So vote. Have a nice day. As Corey reached the stairs, he stopped and looked at all the corpses on the stairs. He took in a deep breath and gripped Smile Reaper tightly. He then walked softly toward the first corpse and knelt towards it. His heart beat quickened as he looked at the corpse, and wasting no time, he stabbed the corpse through its head. He repeated it a second time, since he was not sure if the corpse was truly dead. Fuck, what kind of useless system is this? There's no notification to know if I killed something. How will I know if I actually killed a smiley now? Also, at least absorb whatever is used as EXP automatically instead of me having to hold a soul stone. Corey cursed the universal system endlessly in his mind since there was no way he could know if what he stabbed was a smiley or just a dead body. Although the reason for Corey's anger at the universal system was somewhat valid, that was only for games and novels where the system automatically absorbs the energy that would be used to make a character stronger, and also where the system would inform the person of the death of the people they killed. Assuming there was no system and this apocalypse happened, this would be what Corey and the other humans would face. The system does not have to tell Corey that he has killed a living being, and the system definitely does not have to absorb the energy used to strengthen humans automatically, especially when Corey was just a tier 0 trash with a low-level brand in its eyes. It would definitely not give any special attention to somebody like Corey, even though he had a high-level talent. Although Corey did not know all this, he still kept on cursing the system in his mind. Corey, now knowing he had no way to be 100% certain if he had killed a smiley or just stabbed a dead body, decided to move to the next corpse. He didn't bother with the corpse he killed since he knew if it was actually a smiley or even alive, it would have shook or attacked him, but it didn't, so he was safe from that corpse at least. As he was moving down the stairs, he noticed that there were 6 more corpses on the stairs. After observing their positions, he kept on walking quietly and softly until he reached the next corpse. He crouched towards the corpse and stabbed its head twice. After seeing no movement or translucent mist coming out from the corpse, he walked towards the next corpse and repeated the same actions for 4 corpses. Step, crouch, stab, stab. Despite the fact that none of the corpses he had stabbed were smileys, he was still cautious and didn't lower his guard. Why? Because he really wanted to kill a damn smiley. He would not rest till he kills at least one. The physical and mental stress his fragile heart and mind went through must be repaid by blood. He was in fact hoping for one of the last 2 corpses to be a smiley so that he could have an easy kill. And with that mindset, Corey moved towards the next corpse with the same vigilance he had from the start. When he got close to the corpse, he crouched and then stabbed twice. He made sure the corpse was not going to make any sudden movement, and then planned to move on to the next. But just as he was about to get up, he noticed a crystal in the torn chest of the corpse, and his breath stopped for a second. Is that? Corey pulled out the crystal from the chest with a lot more strength than he expected. The crystal was stuck the inner flesh of the corpse, which made it harder to pull out. It's actually a soul stone. Corey exclaimed in his mind as he looked at the soul stone in his left hand. Although he was tempted to absorb it, he remembered that he was currently not in a safe position, so he put it inside his pocket. He then stood and turned towards the last corpse, which was close to where he was. But the moment he did, he got the fright of his life, and his fragile soul almost left his body. Just a few meters away from him was the corpse standing on its 2 feet with a creepy smile on its face as it looked at Corey. Hey there, Smiley. What nice weather we have, right? Corey spoke with a very strained smile as his heart beat faster than a horse on steroids. Just as he was to take a step back, he saw the mouth of Smiley widen, and he had a sense of déjà vu. Oh fuck, Corey cursed. Roar. Smiley roared. And Corey? He ran. He ran faster than he had ever ran before. If you don't like the weather, just fucking say so. You don't have to shout all the time. Corey shouted as he ran up the stairs like a madman. He looked back, and he let out a strange yelp when he saw Smiley close to him, running on all 4s. As Corey kept on running, he was thanking the Lord or whatever higher power was there for him, getting stronger through the soul stone. He was sure he would be dead by now if he didn't get stronger, since the Smiley was close to him and its speed was higher than Corey's. As Corey kept on running up the stairs, he saw that the stairs would soon end, and he would eventually reach the corridor, which had those seal monsters. His mind spun rapidly as he kept on running, trying to think of how to kill Smiley. He did not want to open any of those doors anymore, ever since the door with a creepy voice and multiple hands passed through the door and almost killed him. If not for luck, he would be dead by now. As his mind spun, he realized something he didn't notice previously, something he thought was insignificant. He was calm inside. Smiley was close to him, like 7 meters close, but he was calm. He was not as scared as he was the first time he encountered Smiley. His mind then recalled an ability he had on his status screen. Fear resistance. He didn't bother trying to check out the detailed description of it since he thought the name described it enough, and it wasn't that important or useful, but it seemed he underestimated how useful it was. Like for instance, if not for the skill, he would never have figured out the method he planned on using to kill Smiley. 2 seconds later, Corey reached the end of the stairs and turned to the right immediately, stopping behind the wall. and in a smooth transition, he removed his bag from his shoulder and swung it like a baseball bat toward the stairs. Bam! Bang, bam, bang, bam, bang, bam. A loud sound resounded from the impact between Corey's bag and Smiley's head, causing Smiley to fall down the stairs with so much force. Meanwhile, Corey panted as he looked at Smiley, which was not moving a single muscle. After catching his breath, he dropped his bag and ran down the stairs, gripping Smile Reaper tightly. Not wanting to take any chances, he wanted to kill Smiley with his own hands, or through Smile Reaper to be exact. As Corey ran down the stairs, he saw a translucent mist coming out from Smiley, and he increased his speed with urgency. Just as the mist was about to fully escape from the body, Corey got close to it and stabbed it. Although he was not sure if he was actually meant to stab the mist, which he guessed was the actual body of Smiley, he decided to give it a shot since he didn't want the mist to enter his body and become the next Smiley. As he was stabbing, he was also cursing the Universal System for not explaining how to use Smile Reaper to actually kill a Smiley. Rower. A scream of pain and anger was released from the true body of the Smiley as Smile Reaper was pierced into the body of Smiley. Corey smiled and then pierced Smile Reaper into its body again. Ha ha ha! Were you not smiling before? Where's your smile now, you bastard? Corey said with excitement and repeatedly stabbed Smiley's body, which was weird considering he was literally stabbing a mist. Despite that, much to Corey's disappointment, the mist disappeared after the fifth stab, and a red crystal dropped on the floor from Smiley's disappearing mist. Phew, that was hard, Corey said as he wiped off the sweat from his forehead using his sleeve. He then bent to pick up the red crystal on the floor. But at least I finally killed a Smiley. Corey, he said with a smile as he observed the crystal in his left hand. He noticed that the crystal had something like letters inside of it, which reminded him of the skill crystal he absorbed previously. He wanted to absorb it immediately, but first, he looked around to make sure he was safe and there were no more Smileys or powerful monsters around him. Although he saw some corpses on the floor, he was at least 90% sure that they were corpses and not Smileys, since if it were Smiley, it would have gotten up and attacked him due to all the noise he made before. He also noticed the double transparent glass door, which led outside of the building, but when he looked outside, he noticed a lot of corpses strewn on the ground outside. His breath quickened slightly, and his heartbeat also increased slightly seeing all the corpses outside. But a few seconds later, he calmed down and decided to focus on the crystal in his left hand at the moment. It was at this point he realized something. Why isn't the useless system asking me if I want to absorb the crystal? Corey wondered and kept on looking at his right hand, wondering why a translucent screen was not appearing. Absorb the skill crystal. Corey decided to try this method out since he knew that the Universal System was useless and unreliable. But there was no response from the Universal System, causing Corey to be frustrated. The hell? Absorb the damn crystal for me. Is that so hard for you to do? Corey cursed angrily at the Universal System, but he got no response from it. A vein popped in Corey's head, and he placed Smile Reaper by his waist, then removed the crystal from his left hand and placed it on top of the eye on his right hand. Absorb the damn crystal, you useless piece of shit. At least dash. Just as Corey was about to continue cursing, a translucent screen appeared on top of the eye on his right hand. He was stunned at first, but then a smile broke out of his lips. Now I see. You like to be cursed at and abused before you answer people. Don't worry. Now that I know you're a masochist, I will definitely be treating you like one. Corey, satisfied with what he figured out, felt a certain pleasure in his heart knowing this. Since you like people cursing you and abusing you, I would definitely curse you so much, you useless and evil system. Corey thought with his smile widening slightly without him knowing. He then removed the crystal from the top of his hand, wanting to read the contents of the screen. But the moment he did, the screen disappeared. What the fuck? Corey looked at the eye blankly and then looked at the crystal. He alternated between looking at the eye and the crystal a few times before something clicked in his mind. He then placed the crystal on top of the eye on his right hand, and a translucent screen appeared on top of his right hand. He removed the crystal, and the screen disappeared. He then held the crystal in his right palm, and the screen appeared once again. So you're not a masochist, Corey muttered depressingly. A feeling of loss, which could not be explained, engulfed his heart. This chapter was sponsored by Friedhelm Haraxa due to him dropping 2 power stones. Please appreciate him, her, in the comment section. And for me, thank you so much. I really appreciate for being the second person to drop power stones. I'm going to use your name in my novel. If you also have a wish you want, tell me in the comment section or review, and if you don't, I'll give you a wish, don't worry. Anyways, thanks a lot for the power stones. And people, do not forget to vote. I'll use the names of the first 5 people who votes in my novel. 2 spots have been taken, remaining 3. So vote, if you want your name in the novel. This type of bonus won't last long. Have a good day. Cough, cough. Also, sorry for not showing the skill Corey got in this chapter. I wanted to, but the chapter was getting too long, so I just decided to stop there. Have a good day, once again. As Corey felt a feeling he could not describe engulf his heart. He had a depressed and disappointed look on his face. No matter what, I'm still going to beat up the universal system in the future. Corey muttered, then looked at the crystal in his hand. Absorb. Corey did not need to read the contents of the screen to know what it was telling him, since he already knew what it was going to tell him. The moment Corey spoke, an orange glow appeared from his right hand and enveloped the crystal. Eventually, the crystal turned to ash, and the orange glow disappeared. He pulled up his status screen and looked at the skill section of it. Skills. Record talent skill. Danger sense, level 1. Corey looked at the new addition to the skill section with a blank look for a few seconds before a sigh escaped from his mouth. He walked to the stairs and sat on a clean stair. Then he spoke. I expected something different, like maybe a skill I can use to attack or even defend myself, or maybe a skill that will teach me how to fight or something, but the useless system gave me this. Corey sighed once again, then looked at the screen. From a name, it should at least let me be aware of dangerous situations beforehand. Although it's not an offensive or defensive skill, it's at least useful. Corey tried to encourage himself and be positive, so he put his disappointment at the back of his mind and tapped Danger Sense on the screen. Danger Sense, level 1, a passive skill that allows the holder to sense dangerous situations ahead of time. If the danger level surpasses a Tier 1 situation, the skill would not be activated. The higher the level of danger, the more warning is transmitted to the holder. The lower the level of danger, the lesser the warning transmitted to the holder. As Corey read the description of the skill, a surprised expression appeared on his face. The useless system gave a very good explanation this time around. Corey said with surprise, then his eyes moved to the resistance section of his status. He tapped on the ability he got from his first skill scroll, which he ignored the first time he checked his status screen. Fear Resistance, level 1, a passive ability which reduces the fear of the holder in dangerous situations not greater than Tier 1. Corey rubbed his beardless chin a few times after reading the description. It was explanatory, which was shocking to Corey since he didn't expect it to be that explanatory. Though the only part he didn't understand was the Tier 1 aspect. He had no idea what it meant, and since the system was not giving him any information on it, he didn't bother himself with it anymore. Corey then looked at his attributes and his free attribute points. He still had the 12 free 8.p from the first smiley, and he was currently wondering whether he should use them now or later during an emergency. When he thought of using the free 8.p in an emergency, a thought came to his mind. Will this useless system listen to me if I tell it to add an attribute point to one of my attributes through my mind? The more Corey thought about it, the more he felt uneasy about it. So he spoke in his mind. Add an attribute point to agility. Please add an attribute point to agility. Please, oh great and wonderful universal system, add 1 bloody fucking attribute point to agility. Add 1 attribute point to agility. He spoke out loud with a dead expression. Corey's right eye twitched, and his head throbbed in anger as he felt his body change slightly, and he saw his agility increase from 5 to 6 on his status screen. You useless piece of shit. What if I'm in the middle of a fight, and I want to catch my enemy off guard? So I can't increase my strength in the middle of the fight quietly without him or her knowing. Must I say it out loud? Corey cursed and shouted so much that he started taking in deep breaths after he spoke. Just when he was starting to change his opinion about the system, it just had to do this. And the worst part of it was that the system was totally silent. No response. Nothing. Fuck. I need to meet other people. If I spend another second with this damn system alone, I might finally run mad. Corey said, and then remembered about the soul stone he got from the fifth corpse on the stairs. He brought it out from his pocket and observed it first, trying to see if there was any difference from the first soul stone he got, but seeing no difference, he looked at the screen, curious about what it would say. Soul stone of a tier 0, level 1 human identified. Do you want to absorb? Human. Corey had a shocked and baffled expression. Humans have soul stones, and you can absorb them. To say Corey was shocked would be an understatement. His talent, omniscience, which improved his brain to inhuman levels, allowed Corey to know the consequences of this message, especially when other humans find out. And the more he's figured out the consequences, the faster his beat in anxiousness. I need to get out of here and call home. Hopefully they're all safe. Thank God Anna chose to have superpowers. She should at least have the ability to defend herself from the beginning, unlike me. He could not have faith in the goodness of humanity and hope that humans won't start hunting one another to get stronger when without a weapon like Smile Reaper. One could not kill Smiley. Corey calmed down a few seconds later and looked at the soul stone in his hand. He was somewhat conflicted in his decision, but due to his high wisdom and understanding, he knew what might happen if he decided to be moral. Absorb. After he spoke, the same orange light appeared on his hand and spread to the crystal, eventually turning it to ashes. Corey felt something flow throughout his body from his right hand, but he did not feel any sensation of him getting stronger. He pulled up his status screen and saw that nothing changed. His level, strength, agility, etc. were all the same, which was not surprising considering he was level 4 and the soul stone belonged to that of a level 1 human. As Corey looked at his status screen, his eyes fell onto his free attribute points, and he decided not to use it for now. Despite the fact that he'll have to speak out loud for the universal system to respond to him, he didn't know when he'll urgently need it to increase a particular attribute, so he was going to keep it. Corey stood and was about to walk up the stairs to pick his bag before his eyes were drawn to the corpse which the second Smiley possessed. A thought went through his mind, and he walked up to the corpse. Reaching the corpse, he removed Smile Reaper from his waist and frowned as he looked at the corpse due to 2 reasons. First was because of what he was about to do. Second, the corpse is still smiling. Corey's frown deepened the more he looked at the creepy smile of the corpse, which still remained even after it died. He then looked at Smile Reaper in his hand, and he was disappointed. Smile Reaper didn't do what he actually wanted it to do. If I can in the future, I'll create a weapon that will definitely wipe away the smiles of my enemies even after their death. After Corey added that to his list of future goals, he bent and, pushing his disgust away, stabbed into the corpse's chest. Shockingly, he dissected the corpse much better than a novice would, and the reason for that was because Corey was a medical student and had dissected a few corpses in this school. A few minutes later, Corey pulled out a crystal. Another soul stone. Corey muttered and turned towards the 5th corpse where he found the soul stone of a human. A complicated expression appeared on his face for a second before he focused on the soul stone in his hand. He looked at the screen on top of his right hand and read the contents, just to be sure it was the soul stone of a Smiley. Soul stone of a tier 0, level 8 revenant. Do you want to absorb? Corey was somewhat surprised to see that the Smiley he killed was a level 8, unlike the first one, which was a level 10. A/N. Sorry for not putting the level previously. He was also thanking the heavens that he decided to run and not fight any of the Smileys since he doesn't know the actual stats of a level 8 or 10 monster, and there was a very, very high chance his was smaller. Seeing that there was nothing out of the ordinary with the soul stone, he decided to absorb the soul stone. Absorb. The same orange light appeared from his right hand and engulfed the soul stone, turning it to ashes. Corey felt a familiar sensation of something traveling into his body from his right hand, and this time, he felt his body getting stronger. He pulled up his status window. Immediately, the sensation ended. Level 4-5, unawakened. Attributes: Strength, 7-9. Agility, 6-7. Dexterity, 2-3. Constitution, 5-7. Intelligence, 50-60. Endurance, 4-5. Mana, 0. Free A.P, 11-14. Seeing his level and strength increase made his sensation of safety to increase slightly. Just very slightly. Corey released a breath and sat on the stair for 5 minutes to try and relax his mind and body. After that, he walked to the end of the stairs where he dropped his bag, which he used to hit the head of the second Smiley. As he reached the bag, he opened it and saw that some of the cans of food he had prepared for the apocalypse were bent, and in fact some almost snapped into two. The bastard had a hard head. Corey muttered, then hung his bag on his shoulder and walked down the stairs while singing a song. I'm going home. I'm going home. Tell the world, I'm going home. Sing to the world, I'm going home. Yeah, I'm going home. Tell the dash. Just as he was singing, he heard something in his ears. He ignored it at first due to how low it was, but later the volume of the sound increased, and he could hear it clearly. The sound was like a whistle, just that it was very loud and annoying. Corey looked around with wariness, wondering what was causing the sound, but he didn't find anything, so he behaved like he ignored the voice and took a step down the stairs. But just as he did, the whistling sound increased, causing Corey's face to grimace. Seeing that he could not find the source of the sound, he wanted to leave this accursed building immediately, but as he was about to take another step, the sound increased, causing Corey to pause his step. What the fuck? Corey cursed, and just as he did, he noticed out of the corner of his eye figures outside the glass door, which led outside. And when he looked over properly, a feeling of hopelessness washed over him. Oh shit, I'm so not going home. Outside the door were at least 10 Smileys walking around. As Corey looked at the group of Smileys outside, the whistling sound increased suddenly in his ears and mind, causing him to groan and take several steps back. The moment he took those steps, the whistling sound reduced, giving Corey a massive relief. What the fuck is that sound? Corey muttered and then looked outside. He was a little farther, so he had to squint his eyes a little to see outside, but when he did, a baffled expression appeared on Corey's face. What in the 9 blazes of hell is that? In front of the glass door was a giant Smiley holding a spear, but what was strange about that Smiley was the fact that it had black lines all over its body. It would have looked cool if the black lines were like tats, but the black lines were like large veins and arteries of the monster, so it just looked weird and strange. Just as Corey was observing the giant Smiley, it turned its head towards his direction, frightening the shit out Corey. Corey's breath stilled, and his body became stiff like a statue. He did not dare to move. Oh please, whatever God can hear me right now, please don't let your boy die. I'm still a virgin. I've not yet tasted the sweet taste of a woman. Corey had an expression of grief as he stood still, not daring to move at all. And was the grief just cause he was a virgin? No, he was tired of it all. He just wanted to leave this damn scary building and go home. Well, that's so hard. It was like a higher being was toying with him. Tears threatened to spill out of Corey's eyes, but he forced them back inside. I won't cry. I won't give whatever fucked up higher being that's watching me the opportunity to see me cry. This daddy will not cry, Corey thought, encouraging himself internally, and then used the side of his eye to see if the black Smiley was still facing his direction, and to his delight and relief, he saw no Smiley outside the glass door. His tensed shoulders relaxed, the breath he had been holding and came out in full force, and a drop of sweat fell from his chin onto the floor. He was so scared to the point that he didn't even know he was sweating, and he had been holding his breath for quite some time. He just knew that the black Smiley was so strong to the point that he would not even be able to put up a defense. His body was instinctively scared of it. I wonder which one is stronger between Black Smiley and those sealed monsters in the corridor. Corey muttered, but he felt like the sealed monsters in the corridor were stronger. He felt like there was a reason they were sealed, and Black Smiley was probably not their match. When he thought of Black Smiley once again, he remembered the whistling sound which warned him, and his mind remembered something, so he called up his status screen and looked for it. Danger Sense. Level 1, a passive skill that allows the holder to sense dangerous situations ahead of time. If the danger level surpasses a Tier 1 situation, the skill would not be activated. The higher the level of danger, the more warning is transmitted to the holder. The lower the level of danger, the lesser the warning transmitted to the holder. So, it's the skill that warned me. Corey muttered and dismissed his status window. And from what the description says, Black Smiley should not be a tier 1, but should be so strong that I definitely won't stand a chance. Corey looked at the glass window with a strange glow in his eyes, and then he spoke. When I'm strong enough, I'll kill it. A Black Smiley should be more fun to kill than a normal smiley. A small smile appeared on Corey's lips, unknown to Corey. A few seconds later, Corey scratched his head slightly, and with an uncomfortable look, he spoke. Don't know if you can hear me, but thank you, Universal System, for giving me the skill danger sense. I would have died, if not because of it. I promise not to beat you up too much in the future. Don't worry, this daddy always keeps his promise. Corey patted his chest with a righteous look on his face, and a second later, an embarrassed expression appeared on his face. That was so weird. I'm never doing that again. Corey muttered with a slightly embarrassed look, and then shook his head. I need to meet people. I think I'm finally running mad. Corey said, and walked towards the glass door with an excited expression on his face. He was about to leave this damn building. But just as he was about to leave, he heard a whistling sound. His danger sense was warning him. God damn it, Corey cursed and looked at his surroundings with gritted teeth. He was definitely not running back to the stairs or back into the building. He was one step away from leaving this damn building, and a damn Black Smiley was not going to stop him from leaving. If he did not leave and find people, he felt that he might truly go mental. Just as Corey looked around, he noticed a large flower pot approximately 10 meters to the glass door and close to the flower pot. He also noticed a plank. His mind spun, and the whistling sound became louder, almost reaching the unbearable level of the first time. Corey, wasting no time, dashed towards the double glass door and opened the door further away from the flower pot. After doing that, he immediately ran to the plank, carried it, and thanking the heavens in his mind once again for his increase in strength, or he would have struggled with the plank. After carrying the plank, he ran to the flower pot, placed the plank vertically by the wall close to the flower pot, and hid behind the flower pot. The whistling sound caused by the danger sense skill was already so loud that if not because of the life and death situation at hand, Corey would have groaned and cursed the person that made the skill. Tap, tap, tap. Corey heard sounds of footsteps and ignored the whistling sound. He didn't dare to have a look at the smileys entering inside. He moved closer to the flower pot, and a few seconds later, he could see a huge figure climbing up the stairs from where he was. When he saw the large figure, which he presumed to be Black Smiley, climbing up the stairs, Corey released a breath of relief and decided to take a peek so as to see where the other smileys were and if a smiley was close to the door. Corey stood a little and peeked over the flower pot, spreading the flowers in the pot apart just so he could see. Though the moment he spread the flowers apart, he lost his balance slightly and pushed the flower pot forward a little. But that little made Corey's eyes to widen and a fearful look to appear on his face. The flower pot, which was pushed forward, slightly grazed the plank which was beside the flower pot, and because of that, Corey could see the plank falling in slow motion in his eyes. He stretched out his hand to catch the plank before it falls, but his hand just barely grazed it, and GBM. Corey turned his head shakily towards the smileys, and Corey saw who? Black Smiley, towards the end of the stairs, looking at him. I'm definite cursed, Corey said with a grim smile, and ran towards the plank immediately. Roar! An extremely loud roar, much louder than any roar he had heard from Smiley, was released from Black Smiley, causing Corey's fragile heart to race, and luckily for him, he had fear resistance, or else he would have been petrified on the spot. He grabbed the plank and rushed towards the door with a mad expression, ignoring his pounding heart. The roars of the other smileys and the terrifying presence he could feel getting closer and closer to him like the grim reaper coming for his soul. Just as he was about to reach the door, he saw a smiley appear outside the glass door and was about to enter the building through his only way out. Fuck off! Corey shouted and without hesitation slammed into the smiley, causing it to fall and tumble a few meters. Meanwhile, Corey, after regaining his balance, quickly turned back and saw Black Smiley 10 meters away from him. Wasting no time, He slammed the door shut, almost breaking the glass, and placed the plank in between the door handles. After he did that, he looked at Black Smiley and got another fright of his life. Black Smiley was in a throwing position, and before Corey could say anything or react, his spear was released. Whoosh! Bang! Corey, petrified on the spot, looked at what looked like a round, translucent shield which appeared in front of the door inside of the building, and prevented the spear from breaking the door. Corey, whose heart was beating so fast that he could hear it, looked at Black Smiley, and it looked back at him. Without roaring, saying a word, or a change in expression, Black Smiley walked towards his spear and picked it up with the same creepy smile all Smileys always have. It looked at Corey after picking up his spear and walked towards the stairs. Corey backed away from the glass door a few seconds later, and, just as he was about to turn, he heard growls. He turned and saw 8 Smileys with their creepy smiles looking at him. Oh no, 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 no. Give me a fucking break. A/N. This chapter was sponsored by Zelenus for voting with 2 Power Stones. Please thank him, her, in the comment section. A big thank you from me, by the way. I really appreciate. Like I promised, your name would be used in the novel since you're the 3rd person to vote with at least 2 Power Stones. I forgot to mention that I have your name on the novel. You must vote with at least 2 Power Stones. You can tell me the wish you want, and I would add it to it. If you don't have, I'll think of one for you. All right, people. I have one more chapter to write since another person voted. I'm tired, really, really tired. It's 10 p.m. at the moment, but like I promised, I'll grit my teeth and write the chapter before I sleep. Thanks to everyone that voted today. Despite how tired I am, I'm actually very happy. Y'all don't know how much this means to me. Have a good day or night. Corey gritted his teeth in anger as an expression of madness slowly made his way into his eyes and facial expression. He would rip out the throats of this damn bastards. And their goddamn stupid smile, he would tear it off. No matter what, he was fucking tired of this bastards coming after him every single time. Come, no more running. If I don't tear that stupid smile off your face, then my name isn't Corey Jr. Zane. Corey roared and brought out Smile Reaper. Meanwhile, the Smileys, agitated by his roar, roared also. Roar. The combined roar of 8 Smileys would have scared or made Corey anxious, but right now, Corey was anything but scared or anxious. In fact, his anger and madness increased the moment he heard the roar. Shut the fuck up, you bastards. Must you shout for every single thing? Corey roared, then ran towards the Smileys. As he ran, he spoke to the universal system. Increase my strength, agility, constitution, and endurance to 10. Then increase my dexterity to 5. Although Corey was so angry to the point that normally he was not meant to be able to think of any other thing, he doesn't know why, but in a way he was still able to think rationally even when he was extremely angry. It was weird if one thinks about it. When one is extremely angry, they lose all sense of rationality. And if one starts thinking rationally, then their anger would inevitably reduce. But for Corey, he was extremely angry, and he was still able to think rationally. It was like he had a second mind which was not affected by his emotions and could still help Corey make rational decisions. Honestly, it was a terrifying ability when one thinks about it. Imagine somebody having an increase in strength due to anger, but can still maintain his rationality even with that anger. This was an ability somebody with an omniscience talent could have. An ability that even the universal system does not know about. Despite all of this, as Corey's speed increased drastically, the Smileys also ran towards him. Corey, gripping Smile Reaper tightly, focused on the movements and positions of the Smileys with so much attention that he was totally unaware of his surroundings, and a few changes were occurring in his body due to his current state. His heartbeat reduced, but pumped more blood for every beat. Sparks appeared in his brain, and his lungs and nostrils breathed in air in a different manner. He was in a state a lot of martial artists could not reach and would definitely envy. A state called the zone. Though, there was one problem concerning Corey's zone. Corey is not a fighter, and he had never held a knife to even kill a chicken. So although he was the zone currently, he could not utilize it to its full potential. As soon as the distance between Corey and the Smileys reached around 7 meters, the Smiley at the forefront jumped toward him with its mouth wide open, and Corey, despite his non-fighting experience, knew, or to be more accurate, predicted that the Smiley would jump towards him. He doesn't know how he could predict something like that, but right now was not the time to think about stuffs like that. Calmly, Corey stopped flawlessly and sidestepped to the left, leaving nothing but air for the Smiley to bite. Corey, not wasting any time, held Smile Reaper in a reverse grip and stabbed it into its head from the top, eliciting a roar of pain and anguish from the Smiley. Ignoring the roar of pain from the Smiley, Corey removed the dagger from its head, drawing out blood in the process, and twisted his body, his above-average agility showing wonders at the moment. Twisting in a half circle, he swept his legs horizontally towards the abdomen of the closest Smiley, and using the accumulated force of his spin, he sends the Smiley off his feet. Looking at the remaining 6 Smileys which had surrounded him in a circle, Corey took in a deep breath and went towards the Smiley on his left. He could see that the body of the Smiley had a broken leg and was basically dragging itself, making it a weak target. Hiwaha! Corey roared out as he used a drop kick to send the Smiley far away from the circle. Due to his high agility, he could land on his feet after performing the drop kick. Using the opportunity, he ran through the opening and seeing the struggling Smiley on the floor, a strange glint appeared in his eyes, and he ran towards it. Holding Smile Reaper, he performed a front roll and used the opportunity to stab the head with Smile Reaper. Rower. Corey looked back and saw 6 Smileys chasing after him. With the Smiley he kicked previously already back on its feet, and its anger much higher than before. Corey exhaled, then made a decision. He stood, faced the front, and ran. He ran like the wind, all the while cursing his stupidity. He could not believe that he thought he would be able to kill all the 8 Smileys, especially when he didn't have any prior combat experience. In fact, the main reason he decided to run was because his head started aching him and he could feel his stamina running out. He definitely did not want to run out of energy while being surrounded by those creeps. So the chase between smiling corpses and a bloody teenager happened, and it lasted for only 4 seconds. After the 3rd second, Corey's eyes started darkening and his chest started hurting him. Not knowing the exact reason for the pain, Corey forced himself to resist the pain and focus on his escape. But the next second, cough. Corey coughed out blood. His eyes darkened and his legs felt weak. Bam, bam, bam. Corey tumbled and coughed out more blood. Broken bones, a bruised body, and a bloodied body. Corey's eyes darkened the more, threatening to close. No, I cannot die here. I cannot die to fucking Smileys. Corey stretched out his hand, trying to pull himself up or drag himself, but that in itself was a difficult task. I can't die. No, I can't die yet. I haven't called home yet. I haven't asked about my sister yet. Those were Corey's last thoughts as he looked into the distance. He could not hear anything. He could not feel anything, and what he saw was mainly darkness. But just as his eyes were about to close, he saw a streak of red, and then his eyes closed. Where am I? Corey groaned as he saw an unfamiliar ceiling. Realizing he was lying down, he tried to sit, but a painful groan was released from his mouth the moment he moved. Although painful, he resisted the pain and finally sat upright. He looked at his body, which was covered in bandages and also some ripped clothes. What the hell happened to me? Corey muttered, and just as he did, his head throbbed, making Corey groan. A second later, memories of his fight with the Smileys rushed into his mind, making him to remember what caused his current condition. I can't believe I'm still alive. Corey muttered, then looked around, trying to figure out where he was. When he looked, he realized he was in a kitchen of probably a restaurant or a cafeteria. Just as he was about to stand, the door to the kitchen opened. A teenage boy like Corey entered with a tray in his hands, and just as he entered, he paused and the tray slipped off his hands. Crash! Shatter! With widened eyes and a shocked expression, he spoke. You're alive and awake? He spoke out loud subconsciously, causing Corey to frown. Corey looked at the broken contents of what was on the tray, which were a ceramic bowl of water and a towel. Corey looked back at the boy who was still in a daze. Where Dash? Bam! Mac! As Corey was speaking, the door slammed open, causing Corey to pause. He looked at the door where he saw another teenager, though this time. The teenager was huge, and his clothes looking like they were about to be ripped apart by his muscles. If you want to be big, but at least buy bigger clothes. Are you a woman? Corey had this weird thought born out of envy, and looked at the man who was looking at the first teenage boy that came in. Seeing the teenage boy not responding to his call, the huge teenager looked at Corey with threatening eyes. "What did you do, you bastard?" He questioned threateningly and removed the giant sword which was strapped onto his back, stunning Corey. How come I didn't see that before? Corey had a baffled look on his face as he looked at the giant sword which was held with one arm by the huge teenager. Musclehead must have a lot of strength to carry something as large as that with one hand. Corey thought as he observed Musclehead in front of him calmly. Despite the situation, he was not worried because he also had his own weapon which he would use to strike Musclehead in front of him with a deadly blow if he dared to attack him. As long as I have Smile Reaper, I dash. Wait, Smile Reaper. Corey's eyes widened and he looked around in panic. He touched his chest, his waist, his leg, even his hair. But he found nothing, no Smile Reaper. Even his kitchen knives were gone. Where the fuck is my Smile Reaper? Corey roared and looked at the Musclehead in front of him with anger. He could not lose Smile Reaper. That was his baby. That was the only thing he had that could kill a Smiley. He hated the Smileys to death. How was he meant to have his revenge if he did not have Smile Reaper? If he doesn't get his Smile Reaper back, there would be blood. The Musclehead was stunned seeing Corey's expression of anger. It was more like borderline madness in his eyes. What's wrong with him, and what the fuck is Smile Reaper? Matt, the Musclehead muttered as he looked at Corey's expression, and for the first time in Matt's life, he took a step back due to fear from the expression of somebody. Just as the tension in the room was about to explode, a voice rang out from outside the room. What the hell is going on here? Corey looked at the entrance of the kitchen, and the moment he did, a surprised expression appeared on his face, his anger dissipating. Kyle. Corey spoke with surprise in his tone as he looked at the tall, handsome, 20-year-old young man with glasses on his face who just walked into the kitchen. The man pushed up his glasses and looked at Corey calmly. Zane. He paused and looked around. Looking at the broken bowl, spilled water, and Matt's unstrapped great sword, he frowned. What's going on here? Although he spoke calmly, Corey's danger sense whistled very softly, causing Corey to be stunned. Is he that strong? Corey wondered and looked at his friend, or one of the friends he cut off from. Just as Corey was looking at him, the boy Mac, who came in with the tray, spoke. Sorry, boss. I was stunned that this guy was alive and awake, and because of that I dropped the tray. Brother Matt heard the sound of the tray falling and rushed in here, thinking I was in danger and a fight was about to happen. I'm sorry. It's my fault for being slow to react. Corey turned towards the boy, and although he seemed frail and fragile, the boy was calm as he spoke. Also, I was the one that treated him, so there was no way he would have died or not woken up. Kyle spoke with hidden pride in his voice and turned towards Corey. Are you okay, Zane? He questioned, and Corey nodded his head slightly as he spoke. Yeah, I'm okay. Corey paused for a second, then spoke. Do you know where my Smile Reaper is? Corey questioned, and Kyle had a confused expression. Smile Reaper? Sorry, I meant my dagger. Corey, with an embarrassed look, clarified, and Kyle looked at him strangely. He wanted to say something, but decided not to and brought out Smile Reaper from his back pocket, causing Corey's expression to brighten. Why do you call it Smile Reaper? The name the Universal System gave it was Ghost Reaper. Kyle questioned, looking at Corey with a curious look, and Corey, without thinking, spoke. To obviously kill Smileys. It's meant to rip out their creepy smiles. The moment Corey spoke, Kyle had a weird look on his face and looked at Corey strangely. Even Mac and Matt looked at him weirdly. Smileys? Or do you mean the Revenants? Kyle questioned, and Corey shrugged. Doesn't matter. Smiley, Revenant, whatever. As long as they have the same creepy smile to me, they're all Smileys. Corey said, and Kyle looked at him blankly. Mac and Matt looked at each other, and Matt rotated his finger by his head, saying this guy is loco, and Mac nodded in agreement. Are you mentally all right? Kyle asked. Probably not. Corey paused, but I should get better. I hope. Corey said, then looked at the dagger. Can I have Smile Reaper, by the way? Kyle looked at him for a few seconds, then threw the dagger to him. Corey, due to his agility and intelligence, was able to catch the dagger by its handle, making Kyle's eyes to glint behind his glasses. Average people would normally let the dagger land on the floor before picking it and would definitely not catch it midair. Corey's actions made various thoughts to run through Kyle's mind. If you can walk, follow me. Let me show you the remaining survivors, Kyle said, and starting walking towards a door. Meanwhile, Kyle's words made Corey's eyes to brighten. Survivors? How many survivors are there? Corey stood and followed Kyle with a grimace. The pain was much higher than he expected. Here, not much. Approximately 20 people. Kyle replied, and Corey wanted to speak, but Kyle spoke before he could. By the way, can you tell me what you wish for? Corey looked at Kyle strangely, but after thinking for some time, he answered, I wished for wisdom. Although Kyle was once his friend, he did not want to tell anybody he wished for unlimited wisdom, knowledge, and understanding. If anybody asked, he wished for wisdom. Meanwhile, Kyle, after hearing Corey's reply, he stopped and turned to look at him, and with a blank expression, he spoke. Wisdom. Yes, wisdom. Corey was confused and looked at Kyle with a questioning expression. Kyle looked at Corey's face for a few more seconds, and as if confirming something, turned around and muttered, Are you sure the universal system didn't cheat you and make you more stupid? The moment he spoke, a vein popped in Corey's head, and he spoke with restrained anger. I heard that, you bastard. Kyle turned his head towards Corey slightly, and then turned back. That was the point. As Kyle kept on walking up front, Corey kept on cursing Kyle endlessly in his mind. What the hell do you mean by that was the point? It doesn't even make any sense. You'll just be acting calm and cool every single time just cause you're handsome and the best medical student in school. One day I'll become cool and handsome also. More handsome than you. Besides, I didn't become dumber. It's those fucking smileys and the useless universal system. This is just a phase. A coping mechanism. If you're done cursing me in your mind, we're here. Corey was jolted out of his internal rambling state, and he looked around with slight confusion. Taking a second to regain his bearings, Corey remembered the words of Kyle, and with a cough of embarrassment, he spoke. I wasn't cursing you. Why would I curse you? You're my friend. Friends don't curse each other, right? Kyle raised an eyebrow and looked at Corey with a look saying, You think I believe you? Corey cleared his throat and looked at the door behind Kyle and decided to change the subject. Let's go and meet the other survivors. We should not just be standing here. Kyle chuckled amusedly and without saying a word. He opened the door leading to the dining area of their school cafeteria. The moment Corey stepped through the door, Corey felt numerous pair of eyes land on him. He looked around the dining area and saw approximately 20 students like Kyle said. Most were males, but there were few females. As Corey was observing all of them, the male stood and saluted in Corey's direction, confusing and stunning Corey. Why are they saluting me? Corey wondered and saw one of the females come towards his position. He noticed she was wearing security clothes, which looked hot on her. Is she also coming for me? Food is ready, sir. Just as Corey was about to point to himself and embarrass himself, Kyle beside him spoke. Thank you, Mira. Oh, forgot about Mr. Cool Guy beside me. And as Corey was about to go into his inner ramblings again, Kyle spoke. Let's eat, Zane. You need the energy to fully heal. Without waiting for Corey's reply, he walked towards one of the seats in the diner, and Corey followed behind since he was truly hungry. As for Matt and Mac, they didn't follow and went to a different seat. Reaching their seats, Corey sat opposite Kyle and looked at the food on their table with surprise. This is the best food on the menu in school. They only sell it once per week, and to get it is war. Corey said and looked at Kyle, who had a calm look, not surprised at the quality of the food. What happened, guy? How did you become the boss of this place? How come they all treat you like this? Corey questioned, and Kyle, who was about to dig his fork into his food, paused and looked at Corey. Because I'm me. Corey's mouth twitched, and his hand became very itchy. He wanted to beat somebody so badly. Kyle's face suddenly looked so beatable. Speak English, Corey said through gritted teeth, and Kyle turned his head slightly and raised an eyebrow. But I am. Snap. Corey's fork snapped, and with dead eyes, he spoke his words, word for word. Speak English, you bastard. Kyle, still with a confused expression, spoke calmly. But I'm speaking English. Pop. Something popped inside of Corey's head, and he looked at Kyle with annoyance. "Speak properly, you motherfucker." Meanwhile, Kyle, with a more confused expression, spoke. "But I'm not a motherfucker. I've never fucked my mother or anybody's mother." He paused, then, a second later, he had a look of realization. "Oh yeah, there was that day with your mom. Are you talking about that day? How did you catch us? I thought we were discreet about it." Corey gritted his teeth, and if looks could kill, Kyle would have died a zillion times. What truly pissed Corey off was the calm look and smile the bastard in front of him always has, even when saying something like that. It made the already cool bastard look more cool even when he was dissing somebody. Like, how can you make dissing cool? Corey was envious as fuck. As for the Kyle's words, it didn't bother him one bit. Not because he didn't care about his mother, he obviously did. It didn't bother him since he had also said stuff like that to Kyle and his past friends, so he was absolutely chill with that. Foo. Corey took in a deep breath, then exhaled a few times to calm his nerves. A few seconds later, he looked at Kyle, who was eating, with a small smile, and spoke. "Out of everybody in our group, you're the one I hate the most." Kyle chuckled, then spoke. "You're just jealous 'cause you know you can never be as handsome as me." Corey's mouth twitched, and he inhaled and exhaled once again while saying a mantra inwardly. "Kyle is a bitch. Kyle 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 is a..." Kyle chuckled, once more seeing Corey's expression. He could guess what was going on in Corey's mind, but he wasn't going to say anything. He was hungry. A few seconds later, Corey exhaled and felt like the nature energy was flowing positively towards him. That was until Kyle spoke. "If you're not going to eat your food, I'll eat it for you." And the nature energy became negative. Corey, with a threatening look and tone, looked at Kyle and spoke. "Don't you dare touch my food." Corey grabbed a spoon beside his plate and started eating. Kyle chuckled softly, seeing Corey eating so fast, and grabbed a napkin by his plate. He cleaned his mouth and spoke. "The reason why the people here treat me like this is because I'm the strongest and I save their lives. After saving their lives, I brought them to the cafeteria where there would be enough food. I also helped them to level up and get stronger." Corey looked at Kyle with surprise and quickly swallowed his food before speaking. "What level are you at, and what did you wish for?" Kyle did not reply Corey for a few seconds before speaking. "I'm level 36, and I wish to be a mage." Kyle spread out his palm, and a tongue of flame appeared on his palm, causing Corey's mouth to go wide and his eyes to be green with envy. What the fuck? Not only is he handsome and cool, he has an attack-powered skill, and he's also level 36. This is not fair. This is not fair at all. I wanted an attack-powered skill to protect myself, but I got none, and this bastard has one. Why is the heavens favoring this bastard? And how the fuck is he level 36? Corey kept on looking at the tongue of flame, which was dancing over Kyle's palm, with unconcealed envy. Just as Corey's eyes seemed like it wanted to devour Kyle, Kyle calmly spoke once again. "If you don't believe that I'm level 36, you can check it out." Kyle stretched out his right hand, which had a red eye, and a translucent screen appeared on top of his hand. Corey checked the translucent screen and saw that the only thing he could see was Kyle's level, which showed that he was level 36, nothing more. "How did you do that?" Corey asked. "Only allowing you to see my level." Kyle questioned, and Corey nodded. "Just tell the universal system in your mind," Kyle said after closing his status screen, much to Corey's shock. "So it's not that useless after all," Corey muttered, and Kyle looked at Corey with a confused expression. Then a thought appeared in his head. He can't be talking about the universal system, right? Kyle thought, but later dismissed it as something absurd. He didn't believe there would be anybody that would have the guts to call the universal system useless, considering it was literally what gave them all their wishes and caused them to be like this. But little did he know that didn't give a shit about the universal system and even wanted to beat it up. After abandoning this absurd thought, he looked at Corey, who looked lost in his thoughts, and spoke. "Zane." Corey looked at Kyle, leaving his thoughts temporarily behind. "Your sister called 4 days ago. Your family was worried about you, but don't worry, they're all right, at least from the last time they called, which was yesterday," Kyle said, and Corey's eyes widened. "What do you mean by 4 days ago? The apocalypse has only happened for 1 day. A day has not even passed," Corey said, and Kyle tilted his glasses upwards slightly. You've been asleep for 5 days, Zane. Today is the 5th day. A/N. This chapter was sponsored by blank underscore blank underscore for dropping 3 Power Stones. Thank you so much for voting using Power Stones. I really appreciate it. Also, like I promised, you're the 5th person to drop more than 2 Power Stones, and I will use your name in my book. You can tell me what you want as your wish in the comment section, and if you don't have any, I'll think of one for you. So people, first of all, I'm sorry I'm dropping the bonus chapters late. I didn't really like the last 2 chapters one dropped cause it felt uninteresting to me. I'm the type of person who is not easily interested in things. So if I'm feeling bored while typing my novel, I don't like it. Because of that, I had to take a break to reorganize my thoughts and think of what to write that'll be interesting. Anyway, I hope you enjoyed this chapter and the incoming ones. I still have to release 2 more chapters today before I sleep. Then I have a bonus chapter to write tomorrow because somebody dropped 2 Power Stones. Have a nice day/night. To say Corey was shocked would be an understatement. He could not believe that he was unconscious for 5 days. He looked at Kyle and saw that he had a serious look on his face and was not joking at the moment. I need to call my family, Corey said and stood, wanting to leave immediately. His emotions were complex at the moment. He could not imagine how much anxiety his family must be feeling over his absence and silence. Although before he left home, he was yelled at by his father, causing the situation in the house to be strained and somewhat distant between him and his parents, he still cared about them. It was not like they maltreated him or abandoned him. It was just because of his results that their relationship was a little bit strained. They always provided food, shelter, and money, no matter how little for him. So for him to be nonchalant about their anxiety in such a situation like what their world has turned to would be heartless of Corey, and at the moment, Corey was anything but heartless. Despite Corey's emotions and desire to leave and call his family, Kyle did not care one bit. Sit and finish your food. Nobody wastes food in this place, he said without looking at Corey, and Corey frowned. I'm not in the mood to eat right now. I want to speak to my family. Corey gave his reason, expecting Kyle to understand, but much to Corey's surprise and confusion, Kyle did not let him go. I don't care if you're in the mood or not in the mood. You finish that food. I can't have people wasting food that's not much in the first place, Kyle said, and Corey wanted to speak. But Dash, besides I have your phone, how would you call your sister if I don't give you? Just as Corey was about to argue with Kyle dangled his phone in front of him, making him tongue-tied. As he looked at his phone, which was held by Kyle's 2 fingers, Corey's eyes glinted, and a second later, he had a look of resignation. He sat down grumpily, but just before he fully sat, he sprang up like a cheetah and tried to snatch the phone from Kyle's hands. Kyle had a look of surprise seeing Corey trying to snatch his phone, and though he was surprised, his level was higher and his stats were much higher than Corey's, so with a calm look, he pulled back his right hand holding the phone, and at an inhuman speed, he grabbed Corey's wrist with his left hand calmly. He looked at Corey, and Corey looked at his captured hand with an open mouth, then looked at Kyle with an embarrassed look. I like to eat my food now. I can't use one hand to eat, Corey said, and Kyle tilted his head slightly. But you can. You only use one hand to eat normally, Kyle said, causing Corey's mouth to twitch. All right, I'm sorry for trying to snatch the phone, you bastard. Corey apologized, although with a bitter look, and Kyle tilted his glasses up slightly. But I'm not Dash. Just as Kyle was about to complete his sentence, Corey quickly cut him off. All right. I'm sorry, okay. Just free me and let me finish my food quickly. Kyle looked at Corey for a few seconds, then kept Corey's phone in his breast pocket before letting Corey go. Corey clicked his tongue, then grumpily ate his food. 30 minutes later, after Corey finished his food, he wanted to leave, but Kyle told him he must take his bath before he gave him back his phone. Corey then was shocked because he remembered that before he almost died at the hands of the Smileys, he was actually covered in the blood and intestine of the first Smiley, which was killed by those multiple hands. He asked Kyle who cleaned him, and Kyle told him it was one of the female nurses among the group of survivors that cleaned him up with a rag and bowl of water, causing Corey to be stunned. After having his bath properly, he thanked the nurse for washing him and collected his phone from Kyle. Kyle told him he could stay in the kitchen of the restaurant if he wants, which is where Corey currently is. Corey, holding his phone up to his ear, heard a girlish anime, ringing tone which caused a smile to emerge on his lips. The song continued for a few seconds before the call was picked. Moshi Moshi? Corey smiled, the more hearing the anime-like tone from his phone. He was happy hearing his sister speak freely like that, which was a good sign that she was fine. Hey, Anna. It's Corey, Corey said, and he heard the sound of something dropping on the other side of the phone. Oni-chan, Oni-chan, you're finally awake. Corey quickly removed his phone from his ear due to the scream and waited for his sister to stop screaming and shouting. He could hear her shouting and telling their parents that he was finally awake, and he could hear his parents' voices of relief and concern over the phone. A minute later, his sister calmed down and spoke. Oni-chan, you don't know how much you scared us and how worried we were about you. We were afraid something terrible happened to you when your friend Kyle told us that you were asleep 4 days in a row. Corey could hear the relief and happiness in his sister's voice, which made him to smile a little. Yeah, sorry about that. I was running away from some monsters, and I got injured in the process. I didn't expect to sleep for 5 days. Corey apologized, and he could hear a snort coming from his phone. Who told you to wish for wisdom? If you wish for powers like Sasuke or Gojo, you would have become like me. Awesome, his sister said, and Corey's mouth twitched. You don't have to rub it in my face, Corey said, but his sister obviously did the exact opposite and rub it on his face. Nope, I'll rub it on your face very well. When everybody's wishes were given, I got a legacy called Successor of the Second Demon Queen. I also got 2 swords, and I got 3 talents. I called the 2 swords Murasame, like an Acom *GAK *LL, and the other one I called a Princess, because I'm going to be a princess. As for my 3 talents, one is called Natural Talent in Swords, Natural Talent in Combat, and Natural Talent in Psychokinesis. I can send people and monsters flying just with my mind, and I'm currently level 45. Aren't I awesome? Tell me I'm awesome, Oni-chan, Anna said, but Corey's mind at the moment was blank, and he kept on looking blankly as his sister kept on speaking. Successor of the Second Demon Queen. 2 swords. 3 talents. An offensive talent. Those words kept on ringing in his ears as his eyes turned from blank to moist. His heart was filled with regret. Serious regret. He could take it if Kyle had an attack skill, but his sister was just too overpowered. What was up with all those abilities she got? Why did it seem like the heavens was favoring her? And how the fuck did she reach level 45 so quickly? He didn't even have one offensive skill. The only thing he had to protect himself was Smile Reaper. And the worst part of it was that he doesn't know how to fight. He doesn't know how to wield a dagger properly, unlike his sister, who probably knew how to wield a lot of weapons because of his talent. He wished to go back in time. Just as Corey was wallowing in the pit of envy, he heard his sister's voice. Oni-chan. Oni-chan. Yes? I'm here. Corey replied with a weak voice and sniffed, trying to pull back the tears threatening to come out. Are you crying, Oni-chan? Anna asked, and Corey quickly cleaned his eyes and sniffed. No. Why would I cry? It's not like I'm jealous of you at all. Why would I be jealous of you? Because of all the cheat talents you got? Nope, never. I can never be jealous of that, Corey said, and a loud laugh could be heard from the other side of the phone. Oni-chan is definitely jealous of me. That's good. Don't worry, this big sister will definitely protect you, Anna said, and Corey's eyes widened. Which big sister? Who is the big sister? Corey questioned, and Anna giggled mischievously. It's me, obviously. My big brother cannot be weaker than me. Since I'm a stronger one, then I'm the big sister, Anna said with a mischievous tone, causing Corey to shiver and feel a deadly sensation of crisis. He could not imagine what would happen if his sister remained stronger than him in the future. When he thought of all the time he beat her in pillow fights or bullied her using his strength and older age, the sensation of crisis increased. Who said you're going to be stronger than me forever or before I get home? I'm definitely going to be stronger than you, Corey said. Lies. What level are you at? Anna asked, and Corey became quiet. He looked at his status window. Level 5, unawakened. Does it matter? Corey tried to sound nonchalant, but his sister, knowing him, giggled. It's obviously lower than mine, since you're talking like that. Even if your level 20, you won't be able to pass me at all. His sister giggled. Corey looked at his status screen once again. Level 5, unawakened. I'm not even level 10, Corey thought depressingly, and wondered how his sister was level 45. Don't worry, little brother. When I become strong to take over the world, I'll protect you, and you can become like those arrogant young masters with a powerful backing. Ha 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 ha. His sister laughed, and when Corey was about to say something, he heard a knock on the other side of the phone, followed by his sister's groan of pain. Pow! Ouch! Mom, don't talk to your older brother like that. Next time it won't just be paper I'll use on you. It'll be a wooden spoon. He heard his mother's threatening tone, and he could hear grumbling from his sister. He chuckled, inwardly hearing this. No matter how strong you are, sis, Mom is always going to be on my side. He thought and spoke. Hey, Mom, how are you? I'm fine, my baby boy. When will you be able to come home? His mother asked. I don't know yet. School is still dangerous. When I'm strong enough to leave, I'll come. Corey said, just stay safe, okay? Your father and I did not expect the world to become like this. If not because of your sister, I don't even want to think of what would have happened to us. His mother said, and Corey could sense worry and pride when she mentioned his sister. Don't worry, I'll come back very soon, hopefully. Just stay safe also. Corey tried to comfort his mother. We will, don't worry. Your sister is actually very strong. Also, don't mind what she's saying about you being weak. A lot of people here are weak also. Your sister is one of the strongest in the neighborhood, and because she has saved a lot of people, people are calling her a hero and saint. Just don't stress yourself too much, and make sure you come back in one piece, all right? We don't know what'll happen if we lose you. His mother said, and Corey smiled lightly. Thank you, Mom. Don't worry, I'll come back safely. Greet Dad for me. Corey said, I will. Oh, your sister wants to talk to you again. His mother said, and Corey could hear his mother warning his sister to treat him with respect, making his sister grumble. Oni-chan, I forgot to tell you something. Can you remember that I said Mom wished for a better house and the best kitchen? Anna said, and Corey raised an eyebrow as to why Anna was telling him this. Yes, I remember. Corey replied, despite his confusion. So, the thing is that our house now looks so cool and awesome, and the kitchen is the best place in the house. It even has a fridge and freezer that has unlimited foodstuffs and ingredients, and the foodstuffs are the best foodstuffs in the world. I eat delicious foods every day. Can you relate? Mwaha. His sister laughed, and Corey looked at his phone with a dead expression. Without saying a word or waiting for his sister to finish laughing, he ended the call. A few seconds later, he sighed, then looked around, and then looked at the ceiling. As he looked at the ceiling, he spoke. I'm definitely going to be stronger than her and spank her. I'll definitely spank her. I don't care what anybody says. She deserves it. After Corey spent at least 10 minutes trying to accept the fact that his sister was way stronger than him and had way more useful talents than him, he sighed and decided to make better use of his time. I need to get stronger. Corey thought and remembered all that happened to him ever since the apocalypse started. He started analyzing his mistakes and errors and tried to see how he could have made better decisions. The first mistake he realized he made was him not figuring out what his talent skill, record, actually did. He knew record was a very useful skill that, if used properly, would help the owner of the skill immensely, so he decided to check it out. He pulled up the description of record from his status window. Record, a passive skill which records everything in front of your eyes into your brain. You can view the recorded events anytime, and the skill analyses the stats of anybody as long as the difference in tier is not greater than 1. The longer the time of record, the more detailed the statistics of the individual. Although Corey fully remembered the details of the description of record down to the last due to his high intelligence, he still wanted to be 100% certain he didn't miss anything. After Corey read the description, his mind spun, and he realized how he could use his talent's ability to get stronger if it was exactly as the system described it. Corey decided to try and view what he recorded. He sat down in a meditative position and willed to see what he recorded, and just as he did, something akin to an explosion happened in his mind, and his eyes spun before it was engulfed by darkness. Soon the darkness receded, and a bright light appeared in front of Corey's eyes, causing him to close it instinctively. A few seconds later, He opened his eyes when he realized no light was entering his eyes, but when he opened them, he had a stunned expression. What the? In front of Corey were numerous bookshelves filled with books, both on his left and right sides. Just as Corey was wondering where the hell he was, a stream of information entered his mind for a few seconds, and after the transmission ended, Corey stood rooted on the spot for a few seconds with a shocked expression. Holy shit, my talent skill is not useless at all. It's even like a fucking cheat, Corey exclaimed after returning from his stunned state. His heart felt slightly regretful when he thought of what Record could do. Record, like the universal system described, could passively record whatever his eyes sees. If there was a living creature in front of him, it would start to analyze the stats of the creature, even if the creature was not hostile. The longer he observed the creature, the more detailed the analysis of the creature. Though the higher the difference between his level and the creature's level, the longer he needs to observe the creature for a more detailed analysis. Although this ability of Record was in fact very useful in so many ways, what made Corey exclaim and feel slightly regretful was the fact that Record had another ability that the useless universal system did not tell him about. Record could produce virtual simulations where he could fight the beings he recorded. The more detailed the analysis of those beings, the better Record could simulate numerous types of combat scenarios using the recorded beings. When Corey saw this, Corey was extremely happy and also slightly regretful. With this ability of Record, Corey would gain something he thought would either need a skill crystal or numerous life and death experiences for. Combat experience. Although the ability was very good, what made Corey slightly regretful was that assuming he knew this ability of Record, he would have stayed and hid in the dormitory for a longer period of time, set up a method that'll allow the Black Smiley to enter the building and record Black Smiley until he gets enough details from it to gain combat experience in the virtual simulations created by Record. Yes, there were a lot of things wrong with Corey's idea. There was no point in laying out the problem since he was not going to use the idea, at least for now. After Corey realized how useful the ability of Record was, he looked at the bookshelves filled with books around him. Corey walked toward the shelf on his right and took a book from the shelf, finding it to feel exactly like how a book would feel. There was also something the universal system missed in the description of Record. Record did not only record what Corey saw after he got his talent. Record also recorded everything Corey saw since the day he was born. If Corey wanted, he could watch his entire life from the day he was born, and this made Corey value Record the more, because no matter what, he would always be able to remember things he had forgotten as long as he had Record. Corey opened the book he removed from the shelf, and when he did, a hologram hovered on top of the book showing Corey on his 18th birthday, studying in his room late in the night. Corey, who was studying suddenly, turned his head to the back where he could see his former roommate snoring and sleeping without a care in the world. A hint of envy appeared in Corey's eyes, but determination suddenly took over, and he continued studying. Corey looked at the hologram with complex emotions before he released a sigh and closed the book, then returned it back to the shelf. Is it a good thing for me that the apocalypse happened? Corey muttered as the book brought back memories he had buried deep down ever since the apocalypse happened. Just as the buried memories came rushing back in, Corey closed his eyes and he remembered the dead bodies he saw in the dormitory. The screams of agony and pleads he heard when the apocalypse happened. Even if the apocalypse in a way made it, that I don't have to worry about school and all. I would never wish for the apocalypse. Anything could have hurt my family and even killed me. The apocalypse is not a solution to my problem. Corey spoke, then exhaled softly, trying to calm his emotions. Although he spoke those words, Corey knew that if somebody asked him, if the apocalypse didn't happen, what would you have done to change your life? He would be blank and remain silent because he already knew the answer to that question, but it was a question and topic he would always avoid. Phew, I should not have watched that Record. Corey muttered, then looked at the bookshelves by his sides. Time to see how much analysis Record did on the recorded beings. Corey said, then spoke once again. Compile a record of all the recorded beings into a single book and bring it to me. Compile a record of all the recorded beings into a single book and bring it to me. This was something Corey could do as the holder of the talent skill, Record. He didn't need to walk and search every bookshelf for the records he wants. He could will for it to appear in front of him anytime. In 3 seconds after Corey spoke, a book manifested out of thin air in front of Corey, and Corey grabbed it. "I should name the book," Corey muttered and stroked his non-existent beard. A few seconds later, his eyes flashed, and with a smile, he spoke. "I'll call you Book of Recorded Beings. Simple and smart, I like it." Corey nodded in satisfaction and willed for the name to appear on the book cover. "I should be winning awards for my naming sense," Corey muttered, believing his naming sense to be something only a genius could do. Despite what he believed, he decided to focus on the book. He opened the first page, and a hologram appeared hovering above the page. On the hologram were 3 translucent screens which were side by side. The one on the left showed a picture of the first smiley he encountered. The one in the middle showed a video of his first encounter with the smiley up until its death. The one on the right showed the results of the analysis of the smiley. Corey watched the video first and saw how he ran from the smiley in what could be called a disgraceful manner. He cringed a little and decided to stop watching the video and looked at the analysis of the smiley. Species: Level 10 Revenant. An incorporeal monster lacking in intelligence. Cannot survive for a long period of time outside of a physical object and would possess the closest physical object to it. Objects with life force are the species' favorite choice of possession. Their true body cannot be harmed or touched by weapons or objects that do not possess a special type of rune. The senses of the possessed body reduces, though the level of reduction of the senses of the possessed body reduces the higher the level of the revenant. The attributes of their true body is basically non-existent. The main ability that increases with their increase in level is their increased power in their possession ability, which devours the spirit of the targeted body. The strength of the true body of the revenant increases the more spirits they devour, and also the higher the level of the spirits devoured. Corey's mouth was wide open as he read the description of the first revenant he encountered. In fact, what he read was not everything his ability had analyzed. He had to stop reading at that particular place because he felt that there was way too much information just for a level 10 revenant. He had a headache when he thought of how much information his ability would give him if he's able to record a very powerful being. Even in the apocalypse, one must study. Corey sighed, then opened the book to the next page where he would be able to see the next recorded monster. But this time he was not reading the description. He was only going to check their levels. Reading their description would take way too much time. When he opened the book to the next page, a hologram hovered on top of the page, and Corey saw the 4 monsters who were in the sealed room with birthday decorations and a birthday cake. He looked at the right screen on the hologram and skipped all the details and just looked at their levels. Level 75, Unknown Monster, Insufficient Analysis. Level 80, Unknown Monster, Insufficient Analysis. Level 90, Unknown Monster, Insufficient Analysis. Level 95, Unknown Monster, Insufficient Analysis. Holy shit, Corey exclaimed with sweat dripping on his forehead as he saw the absurd levels of the monsters in the first sealed room. When he remembered how he was so close to monsters of those absurd levels, Corey felt a shiver down his spine. He was just a door away from death. Absolutely nothing could have saved him if the monsters were not sealed. Corey then remembered the remaining sealed monsters, and with trepidation, he looked at their levels. He looked at page 3 of the Book of Recorded Beings, which had the monster with a goat skull and 4 horns, and what he saw almost made his fragile soul to leave his body. Tier 1, Level 120 Unknown Monster, Insufficient Analysis. Corey opened to page for which had the aquatic mermaid-like monsters. Tier 1, Level 110 Unknown Monster, Insufficient Analysis. Tier 1, Level 110 Unknown Monster, Insufficient Analysis. Corey opened to page 5, which had the monster with the lower body of a snake and the upper body of a human. Tier 1, Level 150 Unknown Monster, Insufficient Analysis. Corey opened to page 6, which had the multiple hands. Insufficient analysis, but creature analyzed to at least be Tier 1 due to the energy readings. Corey looked at the analysis for a few more seconds before he closed the book and placed it in one of the empty spaces on a shelf. He then willed for himself to leave the record space, and after doing that, he laid on the bare floor in the kitchen and closed his eyes to sleep. His fragile heart could not take the consequences of those analyses, nor did he want to face the reality of the analysis. It's all a dream. Everything would go back to normal the moment I sleep and wake up. Corey thought and slept, hoping that everything he saw was a lie. Please read and don't skip. /N. This book was sponsored by _blank and Death Monarch for dropping 1 power stone each. Thank you so much. Okay, so people, I have a few things to say. First, I have 2 more chapters 1 have to write, because Prime_N donated 3 power stones and Death Monarch donated 1 power stone yesterday. That's 1 chapter. Another is because I didn't drop the normal chapter I meant to drop yesterday. I mean a chapter that's not bonus chapter. I don't like to cheat people, so I don't plan on not writing it. That's the first thing I have to say. Second is that I didn't know that the power stones would reset today. I don't know when the power stones reset, but I thought it would reset on the 1st of March, cause that's when I planned to stop the 2 power stones equals 1 bonus chapter. So now that it has restarted, I plan on changing the requirements for bonus chapters. It will now be 5 power stones for 1 bonus chapter, which means it'll be like this. 5p.s equals 1 bonus chapter. 10p.s equals 2 bonus chapters. 15p.s equals 3 bonus chapters. 20p.s equals 4 bonus chapters. Zealous and the _founder both dropped power stones before I dropped this chapter, and I'm thankful for that. Since you dropped the power stones before I made this announcement, I'll still drop 2 bonus chapters. So that means I have to release 5 chapters in all, at least by tomorrow. 3 bonus chapters and 2 normal chapters. Please don't forget to donate to drop power stones. Let's push the novel up the power stone rankings no matter how small. Like I always say, I'll work my ass off and make sure to release the chapters. The last thing I have to say is sorry for the short chapter. I didn't expect it to be this short at all, but it was. I'm really sorry. I'm going to sleep at the moment. I want to have a very long sleep if possible. I don't like my writing speed and efficiency. Have a good day/night, people, and please don't forget to vote. You might think I'll see it as too much work, but I don't. I'm so happy whenever I see you guys vote. Thank you. 3 hours later, Corey woke up with a yawn. Scratching his head, he looked around. I'm still in the kitchen. Then that means the apocalypse was real and not a dream. Corey muttered, then laid back on the floor. Funny enough, and much to Corey's surprise, he slept, and he slept far longer than he expected to. I guess I was still tired mentally. Corey thought, then closed his eyes and wished to enter the space of record. A second later, he appeared in the space surrounded by bookshelves. Corey, looking at the bookshelves, had a thought. I should give this place a name. Let me see. Corey rubbed his chin, then looked around. A few seconds later, he slapped his palms together. I got it. Library of Record. No, wait, the Library of Records. Yep, that's much better. The Library of Records. Corey, once again satisfied with his naming sense, looked at the place where he dropped the book of recorded beings. Please let it be that I was dreaming. Corey hoped, then took the book of recorded beings and opened it with trepidation. He opened the book to page 2 and saw that the level of the monsters were the same as his dream. He opened to page 3. It was the same. He opened to page 4. It was the same. He opened to page 5. It was the same. God damn it. Closing the book with force, Corey cursed. It was not a dream. How in the world are there monsters as powerful as that in this place? Like, why would there be monsters as powerful as that? It doesn't make sense. How is somebody meant to defeat monsters like that? Corey sighed after speaking, then placed the book back in the shelf. And there goes my plan of killing those monsters eventually. Corey sighed once more and was about to will for record to start the virtual simulation, but he stopped. He realized he did not check out the level of Black Smiley. He took the book of recorded beings once again, then opened it to page 7, which had the analysis of Black Smiley. He checked for the actual name of Black Smiley and saw that its actual name was called Dark Revenant. Still going to call it Black Smiley. Corey thought, then looked at the level of Black Smiley, hoping it was not as absurd as the sealed monsters. Level 65, Dark Revenant. Phew! Corey released a breath of relief when he saw the level. Although it was high, he was just hoping for the monster to not be a Tier 1 or close to Tier 1, because at least he felt he had a chance of killing it. After checking Black Smiley's level, Corey decided to finally gain some combat experience. He willed for the Library of Records to open the door to the virtual simulation room, and a door manifested out of thin air in front of him. Corey walked to the door, opened it, and entered. After entering, Corey found himself in a white space where it seemed like it had no end. The floor was white, the sky, or whatever Corey assumed to be the sky, was white. His surroundings both on his left and right side were also white. Just as Corey was observing his environment with curiosity, a translucent screen appeared in front of him, and Corey read the contents. Welcome to the virtual combat simulation environment. In this place, you can choose to face any opponents which has been recorded by record. Any environment that has been recorded by record can also be used as the environment of the combat simulation. Please note, every sensation experienced by the mental incarnation of the holder would be transmitted to the physical body of the holder. Please choose the opponent, number of opponents, and the environment. Every sensation experienced by my mental incarnation will be felt by my physical body. Corey muttered with a stunned expression, and he spoke unconsciously after. Does that mean even death? What if I'm eaten alive or something slices off my head? Corey thought with sweat dripping down his forehead. He looked at the white space all around him and gulped. It wasn't looking so appealing to him as it was from the start. He had the thought of refusing to go through the combat experience, and maybe he would go through it later, but when he thought of the fact that to gain combat experience, which he severely lacked, he would need to probably fight lots and lots of monsters in real life, and the chance of death would be extremely high. He gritted his teeth and made up his mind. He was going to use this virtual room to gain combat experience, even if he has to die 100 or even 1,000,000 or billion times. He knew just how much he needed combat experience, especially when he remembered his fight with the 8 Smileys. If he had made better decisions, he would never have been caught in the situation where he needed to be saved by Kyle. It was better he die here where his death would not be true than die in real life. He looked at the translucent screen and saw the various monsters record had recorded. He saw the monsters in the sealed room and even Black Smiley. Although he was curious about what would happen if he faced those monsters, he didn't choose to face them since they would not be weakened at all and would retain their levels. He looked at the monsters he could face, which were the Smileys. He could face the first Smiley he encountered in the dormitory. He could also face the 8 Smileys that almost killed him outside the dormitory or even in the dormitory. Corey thought he would only be able to fight a maximum of 8 Smileys, since that was the highest number of Smileys he faced, but he found out that he could increase the number of Smileys he could face to any number he wanted, and he could also increase their levels up to level 30 at the highest. Corey was curious and kept on increasing the number, but the moment he increased it to 100, he heard a warning telling him that if he increased it to more than 100, his mental energy would reduce drastically and there could be consequences. Corey, since he was just curious about how far he could go, stopped and reduced the number of Smileys to 4 and set their levels at level 10. He also set the environment to outside the dormitory where he fought the 8 Smileys. He wanted to face 8 Smileys at first, but he decided not to be too cocky and faced 4. At least he felt he should be able to fight 4. After Corey confirmed his choices, the white space around him changed. It twisted and spun before the white receded and changed to the outside of the dormitory. Corey looked around with interest and curiosity, wondering how his ability could do this. He even looked behind him and saw the dormitory, but with no Black Smiley inside. He looked at his clothes and realized that it was the clothes he wore after having his bath, although he still had bandages wrapped around some parts of his body. UST as Corey was about to continue his observation. White lights appeared around him, and then he heard growls all around him. When the white light receded, he saw 4 Smileys forming a circle with him at the center. Hey there, Smileys. Although you're not Dash. Just as Corey was speaking, the Smileys roared. The Smiley in front of Corey jumped at Corey, not waiting for Corey to finish his words, stunning Corey. Shit! Corey's eyes widened, and he cursed. He tried to dodge to the left, and he did, successfully avoiding the attack. After dodging, a smile appeared on his face, and he tried to bring out Smile Reaper from his waist, but chomp! Arga! The smiley on the left bit Corey on his left shoulder, making Corey to shout in pain. He punched the smiley's head reflexively, hoping for it to leave his shoulder, but his strength, which was lower than a normal level 5 human, could definitely not make the smiley release its bite. The pain becoming unbearable for Corey, tried to bring out Smile Reaper, but just as he did, the smiley on the right bit Corey on his right leg. Ergeg! Corey screamed in pain. He was not used to pain at all. He rarely encountered situations where he got injured, since he rarely did physical activities. The pain he was going through at the moment was making his mind numb and his heart beat at an extremely fast rate. Just as the smiley bit Corey on his leg, another smiley, the smiley which was behind Corey, walked towards Corey and pierced his chest, causing Corey to look at his chest with a blank gaze. The first smiley he dodged, ran towards Corey with an angry gaze, probably due to it missing its attack, and bit Corey's neck, eventually tearing off a part of Corey's neck. The 4 smileys started biting and chewing on different parts of Corey's body, eventually leading to Corey's death. In real life, the kitchen of the cafeteria, Corey's physical body spasmed, and a few seconds later, a scream was released from Corey. Arga! Bang! Corey! The door burst open 3 seconds after Corey screamed, and Kyle came in rushing with Matt and Mac. Kyle, seeing Corey spasm in pain, had a confused expression. He looked around warily, but finding out nothing which could be the cause of Corey's condition, he crouched and touched Corey. A shocked expression appeared on his face after touching Corey. He's burning up. Kyle then turned towards Matt and Mac and shouted, "Give me a bucket of water. Fast!" Matt and Mac, although confused, did as Kyle ordered and ran to find a bucket to fill with water. Kyle turned towards Corey, and his confusion increased the more. "Corey, what happened to you?" he asked, but Corey could not reply, and his body kept having violent spasms. A few seconds later, Matt brought a bucket of water with a bowl inside and dropped it beside Kyle. Kyle took the bowl, filled it with water, then poured it all over Corey's body, especially his head. Steam rose up from Corey's body, shocking Kyle, Matt, and Mac. Kyle kept on pouring water until Corey's body stopped spasming. Kyle walked over to Corey and touched his body, finding the temperature to be normal. He touched his head, finding the temperature to also be normal. Corey opened his eyes slightly, and Kyle, seeing that, spoke. "What happened to you, Corey?" Corey looked a little lost before his eyes focused on Kyle's face. "Even when I'm weak and can't see properly, you're still handsome." Corey had this weird thought, but when he replied Kyle's question, he spoke weakly, not because he was faking it, because he felt exceedingly weak at the moment. "I just did something stupid, that's all." Corey chuckled weakly after speaking, and Kyle looked at him strangely before sighing, then getting up. "Just don't do something like that next time." "All right," Kyle said, and Corey nodded weakly. "I want to sleep," Corey said, and Kyle nodded, leaving the room with Matt and Mac, allowing Corey to sleep. 12 hours later, Corey sat in a cross-legged position with his back resting against a wall, a hint of anxiety on his face. His face showed struggle a few times until a few minutes later, he sighed very softly. "I was a fool," Corey said, and rested his head on the wall while closing his eyes. Corey had slept for 8 whole hours after his death experience. After waking up, he spent an hour laying in the same spot, just looking at the wall in front of him blankly. Sometimes images and memories of his death in the virtual room appeared in his mind, making him shiver instinctively. After Corey stared blankly at the wall for a whole 1 hour, Corey decided to take his bath and eat some food. While eating, he thanked Kyle for saving him once again, but Kyle just waved it off and told him he should not do foolish things that can cost him his life. Not once did Kyle ask what the foolish thing he did was, and Corey was grateful for that, since he would have felt somehow keeping his secret from Kyle, who had saved him twice. After doing all of that, which took 2 hours 30 minutes, Corey came back to the kitchen and had been sitting in the same position ever since. Right now, Corey was remembering everything that happened ever since the combat simulation started. He was trying to figure out the mistakes he made which led to his death. And the first mistake he realized was his cockiness and foolishness for choosing to fight 4 Smileys who were 5 levels higher than him. He had 0 combat experience, and the first thing he chose to do in his first virtual battle was to fight 4 Smileys who had higher levels than him. Another thing was that he underestimated the warning of the virtual room. It warned him that every sensation would be transferred to his physical body, but he who rarely experienced physical pain still chose to increase the difficulty level of his fight to impossible, making him die a horrible death, where he was bitten and eaten to death. The third mistake he made was that after the combat simulation started, he did not bring out his weapon and was instead looking at his surroundings with curiosity and not an ounce of wariness, thinking he was safe. Observing his surroundings was not wrong, but what was wrong was that Corey was observing his surroundings not so that he could use it to his advantage. He was doing that because he was just curious and interested in it, and the most foolish thing was that he was doing that without a weapon. The fourth mistake he made was after the Smileys were produced. Instead of him to be in a defensive, offensive, or a position which would enable him to instantly react to any situation or most situations, he decided to talk. Talk like those foolish, third-rate villains in superhero movies would. And the worst part of it was that he was talking without holding his weapon. Even third-rate villains wouldn't do something as foolish as that. When he thought about them more, he was more like a very low-budget fourth-rate villain or whatever was lower than that. Although there were more mistakes Corey made, these 4 were the main ones that he deeply ingrained into his soul, not wanting to forget them ever again. First, never try to battle beings way higher than one's level unless one has a foolproof plan. Second, never underestimate the feeling of pain and death, especially being bitten and eaten to death. Third, observe your surroundings while thinking of ways to utilize it. Fourth, in a battle, always have your weapon out, and if you're not in a battle, always have a weapon that can be unleashed easily. These 4 lessons, Corey decided that no matter what, he would never forget them. And with his 4 lessons, Corey steeled himself and decided to enter into the library of records and gain combat experience. But this time he would start from 1 Smiley at his level before increasing the level and numbers of Smileys gradually. Although he was scared of the pain of death, especially being eaten alive, what fueled his determination was, I can't let my sister to be stronger than me. She might decide to have revenge against me and take out of my food when I eat, or even keep on waking me up with pillows. I can't allow that. I can never allow that. And with this thought as his determination, he gritted his teeth, brought out Smile Reaper, and walked towards the door leading to the virtual room. Time to kill virtual Smileys. Corey thought, then entered the virtual room, taking his first step to becoming one of the most powerful beings in the multiverse all because his sister was stronger than him. A strange thing can be what motivates humans to do some things. And when one thinks about it, it's a funny thing actually. Meanwhile, in a room in the cafeteria, boss, are we going to take this group of survivors to the place this night? I think they're ripe enough. Mac asked as he sat beside Matt, and in front of them was Kyle sitting while crossing legs with a table in between them. Not yet. Corey is not ripe enough yet. He's still too weak, Kyle said while tilting his glasses upwards slightly. I can't believe that bastard is just level 5 since all this time. Won't he take forever before he becomes ripe enough? Let me just kill him. Having 1 less wouldn't matter. Matt spoke with visible hostility in his tone. Don't kill him now. We'll just bring him along with us and strengthen him. It shouldn't take too much time considering our level, Kyle said, and Matt calmed down slightly, not disobeying the order, though he still had an expression of hostility. I wish we didn't save him. Then we would not have to wait. Matt said a few seconds later thoughtlessly. Then with panic he looked at Kyle and quickly spoke. I don't mean you made a wrong choice, boss. It's just that dash. It's okay. Kyle cut him off, then continued. I wish we didn't save him either. I thought he was in a very high level because of the way he fought those revenants. Kyle said then, sighed softly. You guys can go. I have some thing to do. Kyle waved them off and Matt and Mac bowed before taking their leave. Kyle sat and stretched out his right hand, and a translucent screen hovered on top of his palm. Looking at his status window, Kyle frowned, looking at 3 things. Level dash 69 awakened. Talent Dash Supreme Magus awakened. Legacy Dash successor of the 7th Supreme Magus. It's getting more and more difficult to level up, Kyle said with a frown and looked down. And my stats are not improving as fast as they used to do. Kyle paused, then sighed softly after dismissing his status window. I need to strengthen Zane and the others. Especially Zane. Kyle tapped the armrest of the chair with a pondering expression. Should I meet that bastard? Kyle muttered, then stood and walked out of the room. Somewhere in E Academy. Oh, what brings the successor of the 7th Magus to my place, and at this time? A man with white hair spoke. He was wearing a black robe, and he had a chain around his neck. The pendant of this chain were 2 axes crossed together. The man was sitting around what looked like a roadside stall, and at the top of the stall was a signboard which read, "The Merchant." Kyle, with an indifferent expression, replied the merchant. "Give me the same product." The merchant, with a smile, chuckled. "Is that how to speak with your superior?" Kyle did not reply and kept on looking at the merchant with an indifferent expression. The merchant, seeing this, just chuckled and spread out his palm. A small bottle containing a purple liquid appeared from thin air. Kyle, seeing the bottle, moved to take it, but the merchant closed his hand and waggled his finger. On. You know the price," the merchant said, and Kyle, with an indifferent expression, produced a silver coin. The merchant took the coin with a satisfied smile and opened his palm, allowing Kyle to take the bottle. After taking the bottle, Kyle was about to leave, but the merchant spoke, causing Kyle's footsteps to pause. "Are you going to use the bottle tonight?" the merchant asked, and Kyle replied with a cold tone. "What's your business?" The merchant chuckled, then spoke. "You're right. It's not my business. Just bring the drop of blood for me." Kyle started walking off after hearing the words of the merchant, not bothering to reply the merchant. The merchant, seeing this, just smiled and said nothing. A drop of divine blood, and also one of the candidates to take over the position of the 7th Supreme Magus. This planet is definitely my lucky chance, the merchant thought as the wind blew. Closing his eyes, the merchant enjoyed the wind and the silence, his pendant blowing alongside the wind.